Yeah, good morning, everyone. Welcome aboard this morning. Another note from Lori is engage the audience the second you're on. The Zoom has kind of ruined the whole. All right, we're just going to give a minute for everybody to get here. Like every middle manager ever. We're just going to give a minute for everyone to get here.
Just going to wait, make sure everybody's here on time.
Let the audience build up a little bit, which is basically the same as saying, sit there and look at me do nothing. Hey, how shady is this NDA thing? Have y'all seen this yet?
Not seen this.
Broham. It is. Okay. We're going to get. This is going to be the opening segment.
Oh, what cuts do you want?
Oh, yeah. From
folder?
Muso's folder?
Yeah.
All right, Dan. Also, I'm doing a little internal debate for the next hour and a half, by the way. Chief Murphy Paul's supposed to be in at 7:35, right? Right. Okay, cool. The Allie Rice thing is the most emotional topic there is to discuss with the chief, right? Where are we at with the case? But I already know going in, you can't talk about an ongoing investigation. He's not going to give us any details about an ongoing investigation, nor should he. So, do I waste my time on the Allie Rice thing, or do we talk about gang violence?
Gang violence.
That's also a broader hitting topic as well, right?
Yeah, as big as the Allie thing is.
So I'm probably going to start with Allie and then move over to gang violence, but
yeah.
Jeez.
Right.
Is it Jason Wade again?
No, it's Marissa.
Back to Marissa.
What cuts do you want?
Read them off to me real quick.
No. OL is Florida strength.
No.
Florida's defense.
No. Is there anything about fixing the special teams?
Coach
Wait,
better.
right in the middle of the process?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Coach better.
Yes.
Updates on Will Campbell and
No.
Dellinger.
No.
Perkins lack of snaps versus Tennessee.
Hang on, you got weather coming. All right, let's get a look at that forecast. Here's WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo. The only other one I want is about fixing special teams, and I heard Moscona play it yesterday. Yep.
Focus. Guide yourself. Always steady. Goes on well.
This is Morning with Brian Haldane.
I'm really quite something.
Mornings are for coffee and contemplation.
And newsmakers.
And contemplation.
Traffic and weather.
We've been sitting here for 2.5 hours and I still don't know why.
Start your day with Baton Rouge's hub for information and opinion.
Opinion.
Here is Brian Haldane.
606, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you, Chuck P producing. Alontra will be back tomorrow, I think.
Supposed to be.
I mean, you never know. You know, you let somebody go back home again. They're posting pictures on social media.
Yeah.
They look like they're having the time of their lives. You know, it's just, you got to keep your fingers crossed that, you know, she's not going to wake up tomorrow and be like, nope, screw that. It was too much fun.
If I need to be back here tomorrow, I will.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
No, I know.
But you should be back
I
here.
appreciate your efforts in her stead.
Yes, sir. Although I did mess up already this morning.
after we told everyone.
There's literally no reason to say that out loud.
It's
a moving performance.
But this is like you beating up yourself all the time when you think you've, but you still do it. And I hate that you do it because you don't really like.
Again, this is things that don't need to be said on air.
Fair enough. All right, we won't even tell anybody what I did.
Exactly. I tell you what. If you want to speculate, hop on the YouTube and comment. How do you think Chuck already screwed up?
Here's your question of the day.
All right. We got a lot of ground to cover today. We got a busy show today. Jeff Croure, host of Ringside Politics, going to join us at 6:35. There's a couple of different topics out of New Orleans we got to cover, but there's a big statewide topic that I want to talk about with Jeff, and that is late last week, President Joe Biden made the announcement that anyone, and I mean all of the people, the throngs, the tens of thousands of people who are in federal prison over simple possession of marijuana are getting a pardon. Which, by the way, it's not a federal crime, so there's nobody in federal prison over this. But that's not the big part of that announcement. The big part of the announcement was he was encouraging governors to do the same on a statewide level. Governor John Bel Edwards said late last week, I got to get with the pardon board about this. Well, let's chat with Jeff Croure about the exact same topic. Do you think anything's going to come of it? And if anything does come of it, do you think that we will actually see action towards simple possession getting a pardon? And what does that mean moving forward, especially in a place that is so crime-riddled as New Orleans? Because what we've been seeing in recent months, if not recent years, is what's happening down there is happening up here to a lesser extent, a good bit. We'll talk with Jeff at 6:35. 7:15, Andrew Fitzgerald is going to join us. He is with the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. It is time to start looking to the future. What will 2023 look like from the economic standpoint in Baton Rouge? We'll chat with Andrew at 7:15. 7:35, Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul is slated to join me. This is one, and Chuck and I were talking about this before the show as well. I am debating. Allie Rice's murder is the most emotional topic right now. But I already know going in, you're not going to get a police officer, the police chief, to talk about an ongoing investigation amidst the ongoing investigation. So how much time do we spend with the chief on that versus how much time do we take a look at overall gang violence in Baton Rouge, which, by the way, covers a broader swath of people than just Allie Rice's murder. Either way, we've got a ton to talk about at 7:35 when Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul's on with us. In the 8 o'clock hour, State Treasurer John Schroeder is slated to join us. I've been looking forward to this for over a week now. We got this on the books last week when the treasurer put out a press release, and I'm looking for it right now. I've got it in my stack. It's in here. Here it is. Press release was on October 5th, so this was literally 6 days ago. State Treasurer John M. Schroeder announced in a letter to BlackRock Incorporated investment firm CEO Larry Fink, he will divest all Treasury funds from BlackRock. He reported that $560 million has been removed to date and that a total of $794 million will be removed by year's end. The divestment is necessary to protect Louisiana from mandates BlackRock has called for that would cripple our critical energy sector, said Schroeder. Schroeder said his action is in response to recent reports that BlackRock has urged companies to embrace net zero ESG, environmental social governance, investment strategies that would harm our fossil fuel industry, a vital part of our state's economy. This is not the opening salvo, but one of the first salvos, to be sure. One of the first shots fired in what is sure to be a long-going battle. ESG is the acronym of 2023. And more to the point, 2024, when we're in another election year. ESG, environmental social governance. How much sway do big companies have over your life and mine? Whether we use their services or not, how much sway will they have over our lives, over our freedoms, over our livelihoods because of political choices that we make, because of social choices we make? Treasurer Schroeder is not having it, and he's swinging back in a big way. Wrapping up the guest list with Congressman Troy Carter for D.C. Current at 8:35. All right. I know we're running long in this segment, so let me just say that later on this hour, I don't have a guest on this topic, but we are going to talk about the article at WBRZ with the headline, Feds asking city parish leaders to sign NDA amid push for new stormwater fee. Wow. When transparency is the buzzword everywhere you turn, local officials are being asked to remain silent about a fee being pushed down on residents. Okay. I'm sure that everything's on the up and up, right? Nothing shady at all about that. That plus top stories and trending, the outside in, this day in history, and a whole lot more throughout the show this morning. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Brian Kelly was at the podium yesterday for his weekly presser. We've got audio next on Talk 107.3. Yeah. Bro, Wordle had me stumped this morning.
Why?
Oh, it just took me forever to figure it out.
Oh. Dude, I hadn't played Wordle in so long.
So I had a streak of like 97 days going, and I just forgot to do it one day.
Ah, ruined the whole.
And it was a week ago yesterday. So my streak's at 7. You eat Modesto. Oh, hey. Good. So I started thinking about it. After Gordy said something, I'm like, yeah, that makes total sense.
No, he's got a couple of things where I'll be doing them.
Okay.
He'll be doing whatever he's supposed to be doing.
Let's work together on making sure, like, you're not just floating, you know?
Oh, no, like today.
Content-wise, it's...
Yeah, like today and Thursday I'm hosting the show because he's in Lafayette at that thing. Now, he's doing the show from there tomorrow.
Right.
But I'm doing the show I got Eat the Boot people coming in.
Okay, good.
Joe Martin coming in. Thursday, I've got Mickey Martin with Ralph's Market coming in doing wine and whiskey. I got David Steele from the Bourbon Society of Baton Rouge coming in. And somebody else is coming in. I don't remember who. And then I think when we get back, the Wednesday we get back from Shreveport. No, he's in studio that Wednesday, but I think maybe that Thursday he's not going to be here.
Okay.
I got to look.
That'd be the 20th. That is Saints and Thursday Night Football. Next Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
It's just a loss to a top 10 team. Don't read anything into the bumper music.
No,
there's
pay
not,
no attention to the bumper music.
It's not an underlying message here, to be sure. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. It is sports time. Brian Kelly, Coach Brian Kelly was at the podium yesterday for his press conference, looking ahead to Florida, although most of these weekly press conferences are a brief synopsis on the next week's team and a whole lot of dissecting of what went down last week. And that's the way this was this week. With this team, as with any team, every team is a work in progress. Every team is not a finished product until the season is over with. This team probably more so than others because there's still the get to know you period with coaches. There's, we've got 2 freshmen on the offensive line, one of whom was in a hospital bed on Saturday. There's just a lot of work, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and a lot of room for us as fans to give them a little bit of grace.
You know, we're right in the middle of our process. We're working at it every single day, and it's a journey. I'm excited to be on it. Our guys are working hard to get better every single day, and we'll get back to work at it this week to bring more of the traits necessary. There's a lot of talent in this league. You can't just win on talent. You got to win with, playing smart, and you've got to have a great attitude. You've got to have great focus, and those traits we'll keep working on, and look forward to bringing them, and we'll need to bring them to the Swamp this weekend.
Yep. And I'm fully expecting a bounce back game because that's the nature of college football as well. There is a little bit of erraticness to it where guys will play up where you're not expecting them to. And like last Saturday, they may play down where you were expecting a little more out of them. As far as last Saturday, the buzzword or the pull quote that got just abused over the weekend was about how Brian Kelly said he's got to coach better. He said that in the halftime interview. He said that in the post-game press conference and reiterated yesterday.
Yeah, so I think it's a lot more about recognition of your players and what you can do to put them in better positions as you get a chance to know your players even more. And so I think that's where good coaching and good, assessment comes in. And then, how are they retaining knowledge, right? So, everybody learns differently. Is it walkthroughs? Is it whiteboard teaching? Is it more film study? I think we have to look at our teaching. And if it's not being retained, it falls on us as coaches, teachers, and educators to make sure it can't be just, well, he's not getting it. We have to look at it and find out how can they get that and apply it and take it to the field.
All right. Now, where this is the most glaring, or where it's been the most glaring thus far, has been on special teams. So let me not waste any more time. How do you make special teams better?
The areas that are pretty clear, you watch the game, right? I mean, we got to field the football and we got to tackle in space. Those are, clearly areas that we have to be able to, get guys to perform at that level. And so do we need to spend more time individually on things? Do we need to demand more from the individuals that are actually out there? There isn't like a whole group of other guys that are ready to play. I mean, we're playing front line. We got our starting linebackers on our punt routine.
And that's valid, right? You've already got the dudes out there. There's not this pool of guys sitting on the sideline saying, hey, pick me, pick me. It's limited. Here's the Fox Business Report. Damn it, I had like 3 minutes worth on that.
Yeah, those clips are long, 35, 33, and that one was 46.
Paul says, okay, Brain, if you don't ask the chief what he's doing about people running red lights, I'm going to send you a very strongly worded email. I almost got killed yesterday because of that.
Dude, that's
right there. Right there. The light had turned green for East Boulevard to go through and Government Street to stop. And when I say had turned green, someone had already gone across, and then a green truck just runs the red light right there as I'm trying to make my turn.
It's been bad.
Bro, it is getting progressively worse. That being said, at 4 o'clock in the morning or 4:30 in the morning, I'm running red lights here in town. Because at the same time, when there's nobody else on the road, I am not coming to a stop and just sitting there.
No.
Sitting there at a red light for no reason like Allie Rice. Like, I will treat it as a 4-way stop, respectfully. Like, obey the law, take a look around, there's nobody else out there, and then I will proceed. But the crap that goes on in the daytime, I mean, it's Russian roulette trying to get through an intersection around here. All right. You got that, you have that,
which one?
Twitter video from RNC Research.
The Twitter one, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, like, we're all seeing this then. Wayne says, had 8 people in my car on Saturday. Someone ran the red light, almost T-boned us, and I waited 3 seconds after the green to go.
Oh yeah, dude. Everybody, like, I'm seeing it a lot. Just people just running
There's
red
a
lights.
is okay. So is this sort of thing that proves the broken windows theory? Because it's a trickle down as
Oh,
well.
that's all it is.
If there's a complete disrespect for the law, that complete disrespect for the law is going to make its way all the way down, whether it be shooting somebody at a train stop or I don't give a damn who has the right of way. I'm going and you're going to get out of my way.
Yeah.
That being said, there's no way I can ask him about red lights. Like red lights?
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about, man? We're talking about red lights?
Right.
Not homicide, not rape. Red lights, man. Not violent crime. Violent crime that ends people's lives. Red lights, man. I mean, what are we talking about?
I feel like it's a you can't win for losing.
Oh, I know.
Because whatever you ask, they must be like, why didn't you ask this, Brian?
I know.
And if you ask that, and like somebody else would be like, why didn't you ask this, Brian?
And then somebody's be like, did you just do an Allen Iverson bit on red lights?
Yes, we did.
I mean, red lights? What are we talking about?
Talking red lights,
we talking
man?
red lights, man? Not the violent crime. Red light.
Red light.
I may have to find a charger for this computer. This one has a weird plug-in. .625 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got CBS News coming your way about 6 minutes from right now. We'll talk with Jeff Croure in our next segment. He's the host of Ringside Politics down in New Orleans. One of the stories we didn't get to yesterday was the spillover of the jobs report coming out on Friday. And I'm actually kind of glad we didn't get to it yesterday because as the reaction rolled in, there's just been so much to sift through and digest. So you get mixed reactions about the jobs report, right? U.S. added 250,000 jobs, 263,000 jobs in September, and the unemployment rate fell once again. Now it's down to 3.5%, which if that in a vacuum is all you see, that looks good. But when you start to dig into it, that jobs report had a lot of holes in it that aren't being addressed or are worsening, I should say. One of the things that kind of got overlooked until the weekend, and it's interesting to see who's sounding off where here. Inflation is the story right now. When we are less than a month away from election day, from midterms, and trying to determine the path of this nation moving forward, inflation is getting to be a bigger and bigger story every day, no pun intended. And one of the things that the jobs report told us was that inflation is eating up any wage gains that were out there. I mean, forget about unemployment. Talk a little bit about underemployment. But more the point is your salary and mine keeping up with what it costs to live our lives. Larry Summers is a former economic advisor for President Obama. So by no stretch, a right-winger here. He sounded off. Where was he at over the weekend? I want to say this was this on? I want to say this was on Meet the Press. Anyway, here's what Larry Summers had to say about the jobs report.
The sensible judgment was that we've got an inflation problem. Core inflation figures look artificially good. They're better than median inflation. And yet core inflation ran at a 7% rate last month, and that was more than for the quarter. And the quarter was more than for the half year, and the half year was more than for the whole year. So we're not in a controlled place with respect to inflation.
Not in a controlled place. That's not what you want to hear heading into an election. That's not what you want to hear when your money and mine are involved. We got a month to go till elections, and we're, quote, not in a control place. That coming from a former economic advisor to President Barack Obama. One of the things that we've taken note of regularly here as we watch the unemployment rate drop is the labor force as well. The labor force shrank. Again, labor force shrank at a time where it should be expanding. There's only so much you can take away from a low unemployment rate, because when you look at the labor force shrinking, that means your unemployment rate is going to be lower. It just means fewer people are actively playing. Number of people have taken their ball and gone home. So that is the last effectively, that's the last jobs report we will have. I know, I want to say we'll have one more before Election Day, but not enough time to read and react from it. So every midterm election, every election, it's the economy, stupid. I mean, isn't that the mantra? Isn't that what we've learned? I'm curious to see how big that's going to play when folks go to the polls less than a month from now. We got CBS News coming your way in just a little bit. Got to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. I tell you every week, game day headquarters. That's awesome. It's an away game this weekend, so you're not going to be tailgating on LSU's campus, or at least you shouldn't be. But they are also your headquarters when you're stocking up to entertain at the house. 6 p.m. kickoff Saturday night. You need to swing by, grab some beers, grab some of those grilling materials, as it were. Mathern's on campus is a great spot to do that. Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, right across the street from Tiger Stadium. Of course, they've got the downtown location as well. But before game day, they're there every day. They are a full-service grocery store every day of the week. Not to mention a fantastic lunch counter, fantastic salad bar, and all your groceries. And if you download the Mathern's app, you can get your grocery shopping done before you even leave work. A level of convenience that is just phenomenal. Take advantage of it. It'll save you at least an hour out of your week. Downtown on 3rd or in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, it's Mathern's. So federal regulators have asked East Baton Rouge leaders to sign a non-disclosure agreement blocking them from discussing certain aspects of a proposed drainage plan that would create a new fee for property owners. We don't have enough time to get into this on the air, so we're going to continue this discussion over on YouTube. Hop on the YouTube channel. Hop on Mornings with Brian Haldane on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe while you're there. But let's talk during the break. I want your feedback on this. Is this just from jump, without even knowing all the details? Does this pass the smell test for you? When it comes to transparency, when it comes to, hey, there's going to be a fee. Your elected officials are not allowed to talk about it. So let's talk about it. Right now, here's CBS News on Talk 107.3. Yeah, that jobs report sucked ass. I think I might have been too nice. Yo, man.
Mr. Greasy Hips.
Do what?
You see the email they were sent out about what was about
Oh, yeah.
He said he could do a split. I'm like, here's the proof. I have a picture of it.
Yeah, I did see that.
And he's like, what can I say? I was born with greasy hips.
I used to be able to do a split.
No way in hell. Ridley's learning to do splits right now at cheer. She's doing really good with it, actually.
When I
one
played
thing
first
she's
base.
done where she actually is doing well at, as
Yeah.
opposed to not really caring.
Yeah. When I played first base, I could do a split. So
Hurts thinking about it.
yeah. It's quite the advantage when you're stretching off the base to increase your reach like that.
Oh, it's Michelle.
I gotta get you Croure's number.
Yes.
Hey, Christy's in. Good morning. All right, let's just for Christy, although she said now that her retreat's over, she doesn't care anymore. But nonetheless, so there is a chance of rain in today's forecast. It's up to a 40% chance of rain,
Well, okay.
which is higher than it was at this time yesterday. Interestingly enough, though, tomorrow's chance of rain is down. Now, today's chance of rain at 40% is not until, wow, when you break down the hour by hour, it's non-existent. All right, bag that. No chance of rain today. It says a 44% chance of rain, but then when you go to the hour by hour forecast, it doesn't show up within any hour. Tomorrow it is going to rain, though. So today's high might get up to about, 85 degrees. That's it, just 85?
Wow's not a temperature.
Yeah, it is a high of wow. No, a high of just 85, overnight low of 67. Tomorrow we got rain with a high of 85. Thursday we're going to top out at 88. Overnight low Thursday into Friday is 56. Friday into Saturday is 55. Right now we're at 62 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge.
Highs at 55? That'd be great.
I'm not ready for that yet.
I don't know if my ankle's ready for that.
Oh, yeah, you're going to be in a lot of pain.
Yeah, this titanium plate's going to be like, nope.
You have a titanium plate?
I have 7 titanium screws and a titanium plate in my ankle.
So you need to be playing that, your new theme song's that David Guetta song,
yeah,
Titanium?
right. Isn't that also like a...
Is it David Guetta, Titanium?
I thought it was
I am titanium.
No, that's a girl. That's what did she do a cover with? Chick with the Sia?
Yeah, she's the one singing, but it's the David. Hang on, make me look this up now. I love that song.
It was a good song.
It is David Guetta.
Okay, I have a version of her doing it on piano, and
it's a weird video. Something like the military's hunting down a little girl.
Yeah, I mean, he's weird. She's weird.
So Wayne says, I agree with KC. He's got to go with the rest of the BatonRouge mayor's office. Well, that only starts with the mayor, doesn't it? And I don't have the disdain for the chief that some of y'all do.
Come back in, so we'll go ahead and put it on hold, and as soon as we come back, Brian will pick you up.
I don't think he gets the support he needs, and I don't think he will ever get the support he needs because of the way he was hired. That's plain and simple. Because of the way he came in, I think there's just people that are never going to get on board. He could help himself out better, but yeah, if you want real change, that's got to start with the mayor's office. We're a year away from, no, we're 2 years. Good Lord, we're 2 years away from having a new mayor, possibly. But to me, this NDA is very, very problematic. You're going to charge us a fee, and you're not allowed to talk about it. Oh, by the way, there's going to be upcoming town hall meetings. Well, why? If you're signing an NDA, why the hell even bother holding a town hall? To do what? To not answer questions because non-disclosure. A non-disclosure agreement. What questions can you answer and not answer? What's the point of a town hall other than just to say, bend over and take it?
Right in the booty.
All right. And why does the EPA want them to keep their mouths shut? Is it the EPA? Well, yeah, it is the EPA. Of course it's the EPA. Who else would it be? But yeah, why does the EPA want them to keep their mouths shut? But KC, isn't that the question, though? Like, anytime somebody, whoever it is that says, you shut your face hole, you got to wonder. What hole should it go in? Have you seen that TikTok Oh, this is like this built out dude. He's like. .638 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time to welcome in the host of Ringside Politics. He is Jeff Croure. Jeff, welcome aboard, man. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Brian.
So I've got to start with the weed thing. Well, no, there's going to be there's been a lot of talk about it. I don't know how much action we're going to see as a result of it. Last week, President Biden announced that anyone who is in federal prison on a simple possession charge is getting a pardon. So get ready for thousands and thousands and thousands of people all around the country to be pardoned. Oh, wait, no, hang on. Simple possession isn't a federal charge. Okay, so skip that part of the announcement. Move it down to where he advised or recommended governors do the same on a statewide level, which brings us to where we're at. Governor John Bel Edwards said this isn't up to him, it's up to the pardon board. Where are we and where do you think we're headed?
You know, for one, I think this is being done for political purposes. I mean, it's no coincidence that we are a mere 4 weeks today from the midterm elections. So I think everything you have to look at through the prism of politics. So I think that's really why this is being announced now. As far as Louisiana, I mean, we have been moving in the direction of this for years. I mean, here in New Orleans, you know, marijuana possession has been decriminalized for a long time. I mean, you hear from a lot of people, well, you know, we've got to make sure that, you know, our jails aren't stuffed with people for simple possession of marijuana. And they're not. I mean, it's just not the case. And I know each session of the legislature, we keep relaxing the laws more and more. So, you know, that's the direction we're moving in here in Louisiana. I think people don't have the appetite to throw folks in jail for, you know, simple possession of minor amounts. Although, Brian, I have interviewed parents in the past who have lost their kids, and some of them are firmly convinced that, you know, marijuana is a gateway drug to more serious drugs. So there is that debate.
And the debate is largely anecdotal. It's just because most of the science does not suggest that it's a gateway drug to something else. But I think the bigger problem here is that word decriminalization. And here's where I'm going with this, Jeff. If we're going to decriminalize it, why don't we just legalize it? Because if you leave it in limbo of being decriminalized, what you're telling the populace is you can do crime and not get and not be punished for it. Leaves a bigger, it's kind of a broken windows theory thing. Like, it leaves a bigger message of, hey, I'm breaking the law and ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing, so I'm gonna break another law.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And you know, we're moving in that direction, though. I mean, I would not be surprised if that isn't something the legislature eventually actually you know, pursues, because it keeps getting more and more traction as the years go on.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's just.
So if I'm not mistaken, we're one of only about 19 states that haven't legalized pot or, you know, officially decriminalized it statewide.
Right, and it's just the mixed messaging here. I think lends to bad things in the future. So if we were to legalize it, we would have to go through those growing pains of having it legal to possess, having it legal to consume, but not having the marketplace infrastructure to sell it legally. Like, there would be a gap there where your weed guy on the corner is still cheaper than your dispensary, so cartel business would go up.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then you have these states where it's big business.
Right.
And you know, I've also interviewed people there who say, hey, it's not a panacea. It's not, you know, it's not been the solution to any problem. It's been a really, really mixed bag. And I think, it's certainly not going to be something that's going to solve any kind of economic problems or anything for Louisiana. That's certainly, in my opinion, not going to happen. But obviously we have so much violence. We have so many criminals roaming around. We've got so many bigger fish to fry that this is not something that should be taking up the resources of our law enforcement.
Agree with that as well. We're talking with Jeff Croure. So on the front of what do you think the governor is actually going to do? He kind of punted a little bit and said this is left up to the parole board. He doesn't have the authority to do anything. Do you think he will go back and work with the parole board to get, to find everybody who can be pardoned and pardon them?
No, I mean, it sounds like typical John Bell Edwards. I mean, he's been punting on issues for years. So, I mean, that didn't really surprise me. But, who knows what will happen? I mean, we're winding down, Brian. We got a year and change left of this administration. So, I mean, he's looking for the next position. I mean, I think he's looking for what if it could benefit his future, then he'll do it. I think he's going to just calculate it that way.
I really don't understand looking for the next position. After you've been governor, I would be looking for like what beach I'm going to chill on for at least a year. Like,
right.
I just because you think about it.
Well, but how politicians are. I mean, they're always looking at what the next position is going to be, what the next step is going to be. I mean, once you've been governor, that's rarefied air.
It is.
So, I mean, we'll have to just see where he goes. I really was shocked that he didn't take a position in the Biden administration, some sort of, secretary position or ambassador position. I mean, I thought that was what he would do.
His name was thrown around a good bit, and yeah, I was surprised by that as well. And so I'll take up for the governor in this regard. Having COVID and the 2020 and 2021 hurricane seasons that we've had, between those two things, dude's got to be tired. I mean,
yeah. It's a big job. It's a powerful job. I mean, that's why we have all these people now that are saying they want the job. So it's the number one job in Louisiana politics. And obviously, yeah, it's I'm sure it is exhausting because everybody wants you. And your key to everything is being governor.
Yeah, the fourth floor of the state capitol is the most powerful floor in the state. That's we run a lot through our governor, which probably had our current legislature has been working to put that in check. But that's that's swimming in the stream.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean and some of these amendments on the ballot, and maybe we can talk about that in a future show, take away a little bit of the power of the governor.
They do. Yeah, let's go ahead and slate to do that starting next week because amendments we always run into problems because they're spoken in legalese. Amendments rarely get the level of understanding that they need. In the meanwhile, before we get you out of here, got a minute left. You're not in Louisiana's third. I'm not in Louisiana's third. But are you watching what's going on over to the third?
Yeah, I am because it's one of the few real races that are happening. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yesterday, John Breaux and Charles Bustani both come out in favor of Holden Hoggett running against Clay Higgins. You think that's going to carry any weight?
A little bit. I mean, that didn't surprise me. I mean, I think he is going to be coming at it from that position politically, and they would probably line up there. I still think Higgins is in good shape to win re-election, but it's the most serious challenge that any of our incumbents face here in Louisiana, no doubt.
I agree. Hoggett's going to continue to chip away. Definitely a political first-timer if you've had the chance to talk to him, but
I look forward to it. I mean, I've certainly been on the receiving end of lots of news releases, lots of campaign materials.
I've had him on a couple weeks ago. It's a little rough around the edges, but he's definitely got something there. In the meanwhile, you got a show coming up. I'll let you get after it. Jeff Croure, always appreciate the time, man.
Thank you, Brian. Take care.
We'll talk to you next week. We are running a little bit long. Break, traffic, your money now. Coming up on Talk 107.3. I had a bottle of Aleve that I thought I gave it to you.
You did.
Gone.
Yeah, I went through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. Galen says no one's in prison for simple possession.
Galen also says, folks, we must start. Hey, Haggai's in. Morning, Haggai.
What up,
We
Haggai?
must start voting differently. Really, Galen? Are you going to start voting differently? No, I follow y'all's comments regularly. And you, above all people I know, are not going to vote differently. Don't say we, say y'all. Calling you out.
Shots fired.
The parties have very clear policy objectives, and virtually every law-abiding citizen is complaining about the results of these policies. I know. And if the other side would get their shit together, we'd be in a much better spot, right? Isn't that what everybody says? While everyone is speaking the truth, this show so far is not exactly your Chamber of Commerce recruiting video. Very sobering. Yeah. I mean, Chamber of Commerce is at 7:15. Hey, no, literally, Andrew Fitzgerald from the Chamber of Commerce, 7:15.
That's happening. Recruitment begins then.
Yeah. Saw a story yesterday about this is completely off topic. I have been suffering from my allergies, and I do mean suffering from my allergies over the last week. And finally, there was a story yesterday about how hay fever is just running rampant right now.
Right.
I think it's the dry weather. I didn't read the story.
Dude, I was last night before bed, got super congested, sneezing. I was like, ugh, this is miserable. But I woke up this morning fine.
Policies matter. Mine are better than the Dems. Challenge me. I'm not challenging you because I agree on most of them. At the same time, though, you're not going to change how you vote. So don't say we need to change. Oh, crap. We're way long. That's on me. Well, my guy Doug is getting railroaded here.
Work past age 70 or do not plan to retire at all, highlighting the need for backup plans in case lots of unexpected events get in the way of such goals. According to a study by the American Center for Retirement Studies, 49% of baby boomers expect to or also have extended their working lives past 70 or do not plan to retire. Their reasons for doing so are most likely to be their health or their finances. Dunkin' Donuts customers are in an uproar after the coffee giant altered its rewards program to devalue points and remove free birthday drinks. Dunkin' rolled out its new rewards program nationwide last week, claiming users would get more food and beverage rewards. Some took to social media to complain that the new program requires them to...
I don't know. Okay. Oh, I see. I see. No. No, I mean, you're not throwing it to him at news at the top.
No, I tried to. He said, no, you go ahead and do it. I said, well, you just saying yesterday?
Where's your therapy at?
All the way back in Dallas.
Is it Brock? Okay. They're good.
Yeah, they've been doing, it's been helping. The knee has been the issue more than the ankle, just from compensating.
Yeah.
Pulling it up with the weight of the boot and the cast on crutches.
Yeah.
Scheduled. I didn't realize. Well, I was just forgot. I was like, oh wait, it's me doing your shit.
652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Thanks again to Jeff Croure for hopping on board as he does every Tuesday. Always enjoy the discussion. I had to broaden that out. Normally, we'll talk a little bit about New Orleans and then make the comparisons to New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Hey, we've seen this repeatedly. Although New Orleans has their own special set of problems right now. But talking about the governor and whether or not we'll actually see any pardons as a result of President Biden's statement pardoning everybody who's in federal prison. I mean, everybody. The tens of thousands of nobody.
You get a pardon, and you get a pardon, and you get a pardon.
Except you'd be pointing at an empty room for that because it's not a federal crime. Like, when the announcement first came out, when I was looking at it, the announcement came in 3 parts. Pardoning everybody of a federal crime, pardoning everybody at a federal prison who's there because of simple possession. Okay, cool. Nice sentiment. Encouraging governors to do the same. Okay, now we might start to see some action. And then working to further decriminalize marijuana. And I'm, like I said with Jeff right there, it puts us in this weird limbo when you decriminalize something without legalizing it. Because you're giving people the okay to break the law. You are telling them you're getting a free pass. It's a mixed message, and it's just, it doesn't lend well. And you can, we'd have the debate on legalizing marijuana all day long. This is a separate debate from that. This is a separate debate that it doesn't matter if it's marijuana. It doesn't matter if it's, I was going to use another drug, but every other drug would be so ridiculously bad.
Right.
You know?
Meth.
Right.
Black tar heroin.
Here's the thing, like the opioid crisis is in a place right now where we haven't seen it before. We're breaking records year after year after year. This year's record broke last year's record, which broke last year's record, which broke the year before that's record. Like and we're just continuing to see deaths. But they remain legal by prescription, and that's not the stuff that's killing us. It's the stuff on the street that does it. Anyway, we got to pack that up and move on because we talked about something else with Jeff right there that takes us over to Louisiana's 3rd congressional district, where Holden Hoggett is running. He is a first-time, I'm sorry, that's a name out of Dickens.
Hogan Hoggett?
Holden
Hoggett. Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's all right.
Sir Hogan Hoggett.
Yes.
Of Hogwarts House, Gryffindor.
What chapter of the Pickwick Papers are you reading? So he's a prosecutor, Republican prosecutor out of Lafayette. He's running for Congress. He was on the show already. We're going to have him back on in the very, very near future. He agrees with Clay Higgins on policy a lot of times, but believes Clay Higgins has just abandoned the district in order to suck up to the former president. You've taken District 3, flushed it down the toilet in order to make sure you're appeasing to a more of a national scale. Now, like I said, he's a first-timer to politics, so he's a little rough around the edges. We had for you last week his latest ad, the spoof Crime Stoppers ad, where they made fun of Clay Higgins. He was wanted for abandoning his district. If you've seen this, man. Oh, it's such a good ad. Anyway, he's starting to gain a little bit of support from those who have been around Louisiana politics for some time. Shout out to Hometown Productions for the video here. Yesterday, Holden Hoggett picked up endorsements from both John Bro and Charles Bustani. We're going to play this in order the whole way through. It's going to go Bro, then a hard cut, then Bustani. But let's from start to finish. Here we go.
Someone that they can send to Washington and know that he's going to do a good job, and one that they can be proud of and say, he's my congressman. So I join with my former colleagues in the Congress to recommend to the people of Southwest Louisiana that they give their support and their vote for the next congressman from Southwest Louisiana's 3rd Congressional District, Holden Hoggett. Thank you.
When Holden announced that he was going to run for Congress, we had the opportunity to sit down and visit for a couple of hours. I didn't know him before, but I was really impressed with what he was going to bring to the table because he was serious, dedicated, and as Senator Bro said, he knows this district. He knows what the people are going through in this district. And so that's why I'm here to endorse his candidacy wholeheartedly. I believe he will make a fine congressman. He will make us all proud, and he will do his very best every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to do what's right for this district.
And I don't know if that's going to be enough to win him votes. By the way, I believe former Congressman Chris John has also sounded off in that race in favor of Hoggett. I don't know if that would do enough to unseat a 3-term congressman or going into his 3rd term. Yeah. I don't know if that would do enough to unseat a 3-term congressman. especially with the political waters the way they are right now. But there seems to be a dividing line growing right now. And when you've got John Breaux, when you've got Charles Bustani, it looks like there's a push for a return to localism over there, as opposed to diving in on the federal politics. It looks like in Lafayette, they would rather see you on KATC than Fox News. Every single week, we talk to Congressman Troy Carter and Congressman Garrett Graves. Those are your two congresspeople from the Baton Rouge area. And they check in on this show, I say every single week, as often as they can. Sometimes business trumps that. But they check in on this show because we are their constituency. We are who matters. Not necessarily hopping on Hannity, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, not necessarily getting involved in that bigger national discussion where the lights will shine brighter, the donations will come in heavier, but what are you doing back home for the people who put you there? Yesterday's endorsement feels like a movement in that regard. Now, we're less than a month away from seeing if that pays off. We're less than a month away from seeing if there will be enough residuals here to move the needle. And the reason I'm taking note of this is because it's coming from within the same party. We're talking about an incumbent Republican congressman with a Republican upstart coming after him, and somebody saying, whoa. Maybe we should give this a listen. We're not talking about unseating a Democrat. The call was coming from inside the House. Will it play? We'll find out. CBS World News Roundup coming your way, and hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane is up next on Talk 107.3. The call was coming from inside the House. What y'all think? Galen says, why do we have federal drug charges? It's not in the Constitution, therefore violates the 10th Amendment. I believe Republicans did that. I could be wrong. Debbie says you would think you could change local laws locally, but because state laws cannot change Fed laws, that's where we are. Right? And now we have to sign NDAs in order to pass stormwater fees. Guys, I'm pissed about this. Like, I need to learn more. I know I need to learn more. I'm sure the devil's in the details here, and I'm pissed about nothing. And I'm sure, like, WBRZ done got me. WBRZ learned Monday that the EPA... What's up, Rich? Oh, I'm good. How are you? Yeah. Ooh, wait. I walked to this game. Did you really? Yeah. My sister and I, we were living in Teakwood Apartments off of Gardier. Survived. We're living in Teakwood Apartments off of Gardier. My sister and I shared a car. She had to work at Kenilworth Supermarket that day. So if you got to work, you get the car. Work is more important than playtime, right? I was going to the game. She was going to work. So she took the car. My friend who was supposed to take me to the game ended up not going. He like bolted. He left town to go. He had a girlfriend. Anyway, so I'm left in Gardier, Teakwood Apartments off Gardier Lane with no car. I called a cab. 97. Like, I called a cab. I lived in Teakwood for like 2 years. Get in the cab. We get on Highland Road. We're headed towards campus. I get to the other side, like the east side of Lee, and traffic's just not moving. And the cabbie's like, dude, I'm not going to get you there. And I'm like, all right, cool. Paid him, got out. I walked from essentially from Lee Road or Lee Drive all the way to the stadium from there. Like, yeah, worth it. Worth every step. When I was on the field after the game, yeah, worth every step. Randall says, isn't there a city parish department that is supposed to maintain stormwater drainage? That's a damn fine question there, Randall, and I'm glad you asked it. Yes, there is. It's headed up by Kelvin Hill. He's the Assistant Chief Administrative Officer, and he was on the show last week to talk about it. Essentially, the requirements that are laid upon us have greatly increased. We currently have a $9 million per year budget to manage all this. It's being bumped up to 40. It's being bumped up to $40 million a year because of a federal pushdown. And if we say no, then we're going to be penalized by the feds, and we're going to lose other money because of it. Which is why every time free money comes down from the feds, I always ask the question, and I'm always told to shut up. I always ask the question, what's the back end here? What are we going to be on the hook for? Oh, nothing. Okay, and then how did we end up on the hook for this? How could the federal government come in and tell us what our drainage has to be? Because drainage problems in Baton Rouge are not the same as drainage problems in Des Moines. Shit rolls downhill. You don't get much further downhill than us. So pissed. Like, anything you could tell me about the chief right now, anything you could tell me about crime in Baton Rouge, this pisses me off more. There's New Orleans. You're damn right there is. Say good. Galen says the advocate should sue about the NDA. They would win. Yeah, I know. Wayne says that had to be about LSU, Florida, 97. I was 11 years old. Remember that game like it was yesterday. Oh, yeah. I will never forget that game. Sedona Pines Drive? Is that by the Twin Pines Mall? Sorry, Lone Pines Mall. Sorry. Time for your forecast. Here's WPRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo. No, she's a very exciting person.
Don't you worry, she has got a plan for you. Don't you worry,
Welcome to 3 FM WBRP, Hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Chuck P producing. Thanks to Jeff Croure, not just for stopping by, but for sparking so much conversation over on the chat via YouTube. As golly, thank y'all so much for the comments. It's been fascinating conversation up until now. Not to say that it's going to stop now, but as Hour 2 rolls forward, more conversation will come up. For example, what's the economic forecast for Baton Rouge for next year? What are we looking at in Baton Rouge next year? Andrew Fitzgerald from the Baton Rouge Area Chamber is going to join us in our next segment. It's time for the 2023 Economic Outlook Survey, which probably should mean, can we take a little bit of a look back at how 2022 played out?
But where are we headed for next year? We'll talk with Andrew in our next segment. We will also talk with Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul this hour. There's a lot to cover with the chief. As, yes, we will talk about Allie Rice's, the murder of Allie Rice. But I also want to talk about the situation with gang violence in Baton Rouge. I also want to talk about a number of, as much as he possibly can, the internal problems going on within BRPD. It's been an uphill battle, to say the least, and what's being done to help move us forward in that direction. But all that's a little ways away as the hour wears on. We start off the hour with top stories and trending. Let's get it.
Yo, what up? It's time for the news.
What do you hear? What do you say? Tell me what happened.
Now, top stories and trending.
5, 4, 3, 2, I let one go.
On Talk 107.3 FM.
The most trusted name in news. I want to know absolutely everything that's happened up to now.
Number 5.
Baton Rouge is back open after closing for several days last week to put in a new casino management system and a new players benefits program. The casino was shut down from Sunday through Wednesday in order for these changes to take place. Officials with the Queen Casino and Entertainment, according to The Advocate, Timothy Boone at The Advocate posting this one up. Officials with the Queen Casino and Entertainment, the parent company of the Bell, announced the changes Monday. The move is expected to cost about, the move to the new system expected to cost about I jumped too far ahead. I skipped a paragraph. Last month, the Louisiana Gaming Control Board approved the Bell's plans to move out of their aging Riverboat Casino and relocate their slot machines and table games inside the casino atrium. That's actually the bigger news here. That work is set to begin in April. That move is set to cost $35 million and add about 200 jobs.
Number 4.
The Louisiana Department of Insurance. Chuck, can you grab this? The Louisiana Department of Insurance has approved citizens' request for a 63% pay increase on its residential property insurance policies beginning January 1st of 2023. The rate increase will not affect Citizens' current policyholders until they renew their policy after that date. Citizens is, of course, the state's insurer of last resort. Louisiana law requires Citizens rates for each of its policy types in each parish to be at least 10% over the highest qualifying market rate or 10% over the actuarial rate. It's a hard word to say. The rate increase is almost totally a result of the increased cost of reinsurance for Citizens, increased numbers of policies this hurricane season. The long and the short of this is, if you are with Citizens, your rate's about to go through the roof. And we were told we got to have a season where we're not going to have a hurricane hit us. Well, hurricane hits Florida, doesn't matter, still falls back on us.
Number 3.
A week-long trial for a man convicted of killing a double hero who worked as a firefighter and a reserve police officer ended with the jury delivering a guilty verdict on Monday afternoon. A jury heard closing arguments Monday in the trial of Albert Franklin, who's charged with manslaughter for allegedly killing Chris Lawton while evading arrest back in 2018. Officials said Lawton was carrying out a warrant in Baker when he encountered Franklin in a Walmart parking lot. Lawton confronted Franklin, wanted for allegedly beating his girlfriend with an AR-15 rifle a week earlier, while the suspect was sitting in a U-Haul truck outside the store. Franklin reportedly tried to drive away, pinning Lawton between the truck and a line of grocery carts before running him over. Franklin sped off, leaving Lawton behind as Good Samaritans rushed to try and save the officer's life. Franklin's sentencing is set for January 13th. According to Louisiana law, whoever commits manslaughter shall be imprisoned at hard labor for not more than 40 years.
Number 2.
The story that has me probably the most angered today. Federal regulators asked East Baton Rouge leaders to sign a non-disclosure agreement blocking them from discussing certain aspects of a proposed drainage plan that would create a new fee for property owners. Our news partners at WBRZ learned Monday that the EPA asked members of the East Baton Rouge Metro Council and the mayor's office to sign the NDA, though it wasn't clear what kind of information was being kept secret. It's unknown who signed the agreement so far, but a city parish spokesperson has said members of the mayor's office have signed. At least one council member told our news partners at WBRZ they were asked to sign the NDA, but did not plan to do so. These conversations are going to start and going to continue on because there's all kinds of unanswered questions there.
Number 1.
A teenager was shot to death outside a grocery store just east of I-10 late Monday morning. According to BRPD, 17-year-old Dedrick Wagner was shot around 11:15 a.m. outside Terrace Grocery on Terrace Avenue. Video from the scene showed officers taping off the area around the store. Officers said the suspect and the motives are unknown at this time. This is a developing story. That's a look at your top stories. Here's a look at what's trending this morning. Oh, it's about that time. A horticulture teacher from Minnesota set a new U.S. record Monday for the heaviest pumpkin after raising a giant gourd weighing 2,560 pounds. Take that, Charlie Brown. How great's your pumpkin? 2,560 pounds. Travis Geiner of Anoka, Minnesota, set the new record, won an annual pumpkin weighing contest in Northern California. Quote, Minnesota has a great mid-year, but our spring in our parts is really, really tough. So to do it in Minnesota, it just shouldn't happen. It's like winning the Tour de France on a big wheel. You know you can only hope, but it worked out. Geinger drove the gargantuan gourd for 35 hours to see his hard work pay off at the 49th World Pumpkin Weigh-Off in Half Moon Bay, south of San Francisco. He took a 2,500-pound pumpkin and drove it for 35 hours. I don't know. Congrats. Quick break. Coming back. Let's talk about the 2023 economic outlook next. Were there no spots here? I mean, I'll take it. Morning, Chief. How are you? Doing all right. Yeah, kill the mics for a sec. Seven 7:15 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Coming up in our next segment, we've got Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul in studio. Looking forward to that conversation, but I'm looking forward to this conversation as well. It's time to launch the 2023 Economic Outlook Survey. Joining us now to talk about it from the Baton Rouge Area Chamber is Andrew Fitzgerald. Andrew, good morning. Welcome aboard. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing very well this morning. So, every year the Chamber does this. Before we look ahead to 2023, how closely did 2022 mirror what the outlook was going to be?
Well, it was pretty accurate from what we can see so far. A lot of data lagged a little bit, but one big takeaway was that almost 2/3 of businesses thought they'd have increased revenue this year, and for better or worse, they did. Maybe in part because of inflation. They just got more revenue because everything costs more. So, may not have helped on the net, but they also last year workforce was anticipated to be the number one issue, and I think with 30,000 open jobs and only 15,000 people looking for work in the region, that came to fruition as well.
All right. Well, how does that translate moving forward? Let's talk process a little bit. What goes into the Economic Outlook Survey? What do y'all look for?
Yeah, so Economic Outlook is two parts where, number one, we look at the data of what's happened, and then number two, we want to look at what we anticipate for 2023. And part of that is not just us looking at numbers, but reaching out to businesses and saying, what do you anticipate going forward? We have all this data, but the quantitative only takes you so far. We want the qualitative too. What are you seeing boots on the ground? And so we ask about things like, what do you think about in terms of hiring patterns for next year for your business? Do you anticipate greater revenue? What are the biggest obstacles you see, both kind of locally and at a state level, and specifically within workforce? What are the big issues with your workforce that you're seeing? So we try to ask similar questions every year so we can track year-over-year changes and rise and falls of different things.
What kind of changes have we been seeing in recent years that would kind of put us on the path to where we might be headed for this time around?
Well, one big change last year was, for about 4 or 5 years straight, the biggest problem with companies looking to hire was there's a lack of talent applying with the right education or experience. Last year that changed, and that fell to number 2. And the biggest problem was nobody's applying, just lack of applicants generally. So, there's a little bit of a mismatch where before you're getting resumes just tossed out, now the resumes just aren't coming in the door. And I think we're going to see that probably, again this year, just kind of based on what we've seen with hiring patterns.
All right, let's talk about that and take a little bit of a deeper dive into that, because that's something we actually talked about when we talked about the September jobs report earlier this morning. Is this a matter of we just don't have enough people, or we don't have enough people who want to work?
It's a combination of both. There was a glut of people that retired early at the start of the pandemic that threw their hands up and they said, "That's it for me. With my savings, I'm good to go." So you have some percentage of it that's that. You have some percentage with wages kind of spiked at the beginning of the recovery, and they said, we don't need 2 parents working in this household anymore. We're spending an entire salary on childcare, so why not just have a 1-parent working household? So there's a lot of things like that, and I think it's going to be an ongoing issue. So we need to look into places we didn't necessarily look to hire before, and it might be high schoolers working at fast food restaurants or the college students, and it might be looking at people re-entering the population from prison and saying this is a group of people we kind of had a stigma against, but we just need people to work at this point.
Is there a room for a third there? Because you brought up something within that last answer that I think might be intriguing this year or over the next year or so. As inflation has risen, is there the possibility that retired people will re-enter the workforce because the math doesn't add up anymore? If you retired at the beginning of COVID, the rest of your life is going to cost a lot more now than it looked like it did then.
Yeah, there's a definite possibility of that. Historically, retirement has been what the super technical term, very sticky. People, once they retire, they don't want to unretire, but it might not be an option for a lot of people. And so there's one interesting thing. We have more employed residents of the capital region than we've ever had before, but we have fewer jobs than we did pre-pandemic, and that seems contradictory. But I think what you're seeing is more people have one job and aren't working a second job, and some people are just doing kind of 1099 contract work, which doesn't count in our jobs. If you're working as a consultant, not a full-time employee, that's not caught in those job numbers. And it's kind of, in my mind, not a great way to track it, but that's what the federal government does. So there might be kind of hidden workers as well. And I think the report's going to show that in December 6th, when we have the economic outlook. There are a few thousand people in the capital region that are now kind of 1099 contract workers, independent contractors. They're working, but they aren't kind of a full-time employee like they might have been before the pandemic. They're just kind of working part-time to get by, like you implied.
Interesting. They'd just be kind of left in the lurch right there, where they're not part of a job, even though they've got a job. I mean, if you're 1099, you're doing a job. If you don't work,
you're doing a job, but the federal government just doesn't count it as one. It's just kind of a very confusing way. So we're going to have a slide to illustrate that, where we have more people working than ever before. Maybe that's the number to look at rather than this non-farm job count.
All right, walk me through one more time the 5 questions on the economic survey. So we got more to break down from these questions.
Sure. So the first 2 questions are, what do you anticipate in terms of revenue and employment? Do you expect your revenues and employment to go up or down over the next 12 months? The next is, what's the top issue or obstacle that you've seen in the region? It could be workforce, traffic, the cost of materials with inflation, crime, utilities, public schools, things of that nature. Then we dive deeper into workforce itself, and we ask, is it too few people applying? Is it they don't have the soft skills? They can't communicate with customers? Unrealistic salary expectations, or are people moving just out of state, out of the region? And then finally, we ask statewide, what's the big issue? Is there anything at the Capitol you're worried about, whether it's the tax structure, is there a need for tort reform, transportation and infrastructure, healthcare costs, auto insurance? This year, we're obviously going to add property insurance is an issue there as well.
All right, let's go back up right up to the second one that's on there, the top obstacle. You mentioned you mentioned traffic as one of them, crime is potentially one of them. Traditionally, what do we see as the most popular answers to that question?
Traffic, since I've been at BRAC since 2015, traffic was the number one issue. Until last year, workforce hopped above, and that's kind of when we knew, oops, something's up.
And this year, I would expect costs of doing business to be among them.
Yeah, material costs, and that's always the thing. It's tough to get somebody in Baton Rouge to admit there's anything worse than the traffic here.
Yeah.
But we've seen it once already, so I think those three: workforce, cost of materials, which is kind of an inflation one, as well as traffic, are probably going to be chunked up near the top.
What are a few of the less popular answers, but still show up in the survey?
Some of the good news is like access to direct flights. I know it's easy to sort of say, well, there's only 4 flights out of Baton Rouge. If you're in a major city, being an hour away from an airport is just normal. So really, we have a ton of options in Baton Rouge in terms of flying out of either BTR or MSY. So that's reflected. Only 3 or 4% of people say that's an issue at all for them.
Mm-hmm.
The availability of office space is also something historically that may have been kind of middling. That's pretty low now with remote work. I think that, we're still in the middle of seeing the shift in how people work and whether it's traditional office or home or hybrid or remote. So that I don't anticipate that being very high either. I think there's maybe not an abundance, but there's availability of office space here. Access to capital, that's really big for small businesses, but for existing businesses, you're usually pretty good. Now, that one may jump up with interest rates rising. Interest rates have never been that high, so I'll be interested to look at that.
Yeah, that was one that, when I asked the question, that's the one I kind of had in mind, because as interest rates continue to go up, and it doesn't look like they're going to stop right now, but as they continue to go up, that is going to hinder borrowing on the back end, which will eventually hinder hiring on the back end as well.
That's absolutely right, and it's one of those things where, the government's going to tell you just sort of have to take your medicine, where inflation's going to keep on spiraling, or we're just going to have to, go into a little recession for a bit.
The meetings will continue until morale improves.
Right.
It's, I'm not trying to make light of it, but that's as long as people keep hiring, inflation or interest rates will continue to rise. It's like telling the economy to stop hiring.
Yeah, and in the meanwhile, everybody has to watch their 401k. Don't look at your 401k for the next 6 months. I mean, it's just a disaster.
Yeah, I actually sat down with that at lunch. Sat down to look at that at lunch yesterday, and it was. Honestly, I was bracing myself for worse than what it was. It wasn't positive, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Moving on to the too few applying and the soft skills, the tangible skills. Where can the Baton Rouge Area Chamber help in this regard? Where can y'all lend a hand to not just meet people together, because I know you got the whole handshake program, not just meet people together, but provide more training for new jobs and the like?
Yes, there are 2 initiatives that we're working on that align pretty well with that. Number one, in January, we launched a site, BR Works, where basically you go on there, it pulls your resume, and it doesn't look at your job titles, it looks at your skills.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it just tells you you're a 75% match for this job, you're 80, you're 85. That's great. But we added an upskilling feature where if you're only like a 60% match, you can see which skills you're missing, and it connects you to local training programs at LSU, Southern, Baton Rouge Community College, River Parishes, FranU. So it tells you what you're missing. It tells you what course you need to take. It even tells you whether something like Employee BR helps cover the cost. So we hope that upskilling feature really not only takes people to work, but maybe like the ability to get more skills and a better job that they might have had otherwise. The other is a Talent Action Collaborative. Tanisha Ellis and our team runs that, and it's basically they're piloting it out of EBR public schools, where kids have 5 pathways, where it could be tech, it could be industry, it could be liberal arts, but the point is to graduate with an industry-based credential. And so hopefully kids that might not have as much direction when they graduate, they'll now have something a field to go into that they've already studied. So hopefully one's kind of a short-term BR Works, one's more medium long-term, Talent Action Collaborative through public schools. So those are the 2 solutions we're working on right now, among others.
How much of that applies to the soft skills? Because you were you train to learn on the job skills, but those soft skills you're talking about, is there room for improvement there? Is there a way to step in and help?
Definitely, that's historically been a top three, and I think that's just every high school should be teaching soft skill stuff. Every high school should be teaching how to balance a budget. Every high school should be teaching how to interact with people professionally. I mean, you have people even at going into professional jobs and offices don't know to call in if they're not going to show up to work. I mean, these are things that maybe a parent intuitively doesn't necessarily teach, but like your school should.
No, yeah, I know. It's just tough not to label that section of the survey as back in my day. Hey, we got a couple minutes left. Let's talk about statewide issues because there is a growing, I don't want to say growing popularity. We're not fully there yet, but there's an idea that's starting to blossom a little bit about eliminating the state income tax. How much does that weigh on the individual business owner? How much is that on their radar?
It's basically when companies, from the economic development side, when a company looks at a place, they have a giant basic spreadsheet, and they fill in the blanks on all these things. And one of the blanks is state income tax, and so state sales tax and average property tax. So it does weigh in it. It's something they consider. Really, it's kind of a balancing act, though, because you take those really, let's call them like the big three of property tax, sales tax, income tax, and to function, you see a certain amount of revenue. And you can kind of pull the levers one up, one down as you like. And I think that, they're interested more holistically in kind of the economic environment. I will say it's certainly attractive for individuals. I assume you'll hear like NBA players or NFL players all the time saying, New York or Florida, it's an easy choice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It definitely shows up in that regard. In the meanwhile, we got 1 minute before we get out of here. I got one more for you. Who participates in the survey? Do y'all pick the businesses, or is there a way to sign up?
So we sent the press release out. It should have been an advocate and business report at this point. If your business is interested in taking it, it's right on the top of our Twitter feed. It's at @Baton Rouge is probably the easiest way to find it. And we get a pretty good response rate, about 200 250 businesses per year.
He is Andrew Fitzgerald with the Baton Rouge Area Chamber talking about the 2023 Economic Outlook Survey. Results will be out by December 6th. All right. Looking forward to it. We'll have you back on for follow-up as well. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for a couple minutes.
Have a great day.
You do the same. 7:30 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Yeah, the Economic Outlook Survey, once they put it out in December, there's a lot to unpack from that. I mean, we heading into this year, we took a very, very deep dive. I mean, more than one segment looking at different areas of it, looking at everything from how our city ranks against other cities, how we rank when it comes to things like, the lack of workforce talent, whether it comes to traffic, whether it comes to other issues that we face on a day-to-day basis. So we will definitely dive into that as it becomes available. Right now, though, we got to check CBS News, our own local news, traffic, and weather. Then Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul's up next. All righty. Yeah?
We come and talk again.
Just talk to him, motivate him.
Him,
I'm telling you, it touched him.
it did. It was legit fun to watch. So. I mean, go over to police headquarters or coach fifth grade girls basketball. I'm sorry, y'all are losing every time. Do what? Yeah, girls basketball's in the fall so that the gym is open for the boys by wintertime. Yeah, while the boys are playing football, we're playing basketball. Yeah. We'll get there.
Whoa, hold on. Yeah.
That was cool. I was shocked. I was just as shocked as everybody else.
What's your poll? He's too much of a superstar, so he tackled that kid on the field.
Yeah, well, he basking in his full drop. Oh, okay.
Was one of them, how the hell did this kid get that far out to the field?
And just stand there, like just
surveying everything.
right.
But he said he was hoping he didn't run, and then they looked like, they chasing him all over the field.
Right.
Well, and then you got, the one goes out on the field for the was it the Rams game last week? And I mean, he got lit up. He's suing now. He's suing the player that tackled him. That's getting thrown out. You can sue anybody for anything.
Big Star was a 15-year-old kid got tackled at
The Bucks game yesterday or Sunday. Yeah. Yeah. But like yeah.
You know what wouldn't have happened if you wouldn't have hit on the field? You getting tackled by NFL.
Well, I want to say it's part of like when you purchase a ticket to a sporting event, that is you're entering into a contract, and there's a ton of fine print within that contract, and part of it is not entering the field of play or any of the restricted areas in the stadium. So, yeah.
Spell it out for people. It should be really obvious, but
you have to put it for that reason.
Yeah.
Oh, you gonna come back and sue me? Yes, sir.
Guess what, buddy?
On the 30th page, section 31, subsection AB.
Right. Paragraph 10.
Yeah.
Where it states you should not walk onto the football field.
I saw where you were going with that. You were about to say you stole fizzy lifting juice. You went Willy Wonka. I heard you. No, you started down the path. I heard it.
I was heading there.
So what do you have for it? You got Bad Boy for it, Chief? You okay with Bad Boy?
What's that, brother?
Intro song.
Bad boy.
Yeah.
It's very anti-police. Oh, also, is it worth bringing that back up? That was from about a week ago.
You know what? Whatever you're comfortable with, I can answer any question.
Okay.
On that one because I mean, there's accountability there.
Yeah.
He don't represent the men and women who wear the uniform.
That's the point. That's the point. Okay.
You want to hear some good news?
Yeah.
You're gonna be the first.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Do what?
I'm gonna get in trouble.
You are?
New recruiting.
Yeah.
10,000 signing bonus for new recruits.
Hey now.
15,000 for police officers who come over and want to be lateral. Say that for last.
Okay. Yeah.
Might get in trouble. So
No. It's
new recruits.
It's coming out sometime. Might as well be now.
January 5. Next academy class in 2020.
Okay.
Breaking news. You can say it at the end. Breaking news.
We got you. All right.
That's big.
It is. Well, and that is, it's big for more than just the money. The sentiment behind the money shows their support behind the police.
Absolutely.
Like that, to me, it's easy for me to sit on the sidelines and say something like that.
Yeah.
But, when you do something good at your job and you get a bonus for it, the money in the bonus doesn't mean as much to me as the thought that, you care enough to give me something. Like, I don't care if I get a gift card. Like, it just...
The challenge is showing the guys, look, we on a guy because they're not getting this is for new hiring incentives.
Yeah.
Look, you need to help. We got to fill these vacancies,
right?
And we're competing with other agencies, and it's incentive to do that. So it's one-time dollars.
I got toss. Yeah. Time to get a look at your forecast. Here is WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo. All right.
Yeah, that is a tough sell because, but that's been every business everywhere. Like when your bank offers something for new accounts, it's like I've had an account here for 20 years. Where's my steak knives? I mean, is it worth it to revisit though? There's been 2-3% pay raises in the last year. I mean, is that
13%.
13%
in the last 2 years? And
really?
Yeah,
I knew about the 2-3% ones. But I didn't know
2-3 and then a 7.
I don't know how I missed a 7.
The last raise was 7%. What you
Okay.
got? 13% pay raise and less in a year and a half.
So I mean, that's for the existing officers.
Yeah.
738 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Time to welcome into the studio Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul. Welcome back, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. We've got a lot of ground to cover. And I know going in, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions that you just cannot answer, but because there are ongoing investigations. But let's start with the murder of Allie Rice. What updates can you provide to us right now? How much can we share about what's going on?
Well, our detectives are still out there working hard, trying to identify the person or persons responsible. And they're exhausting all investigative resources that are available to us. And we're going to continue to investigate that until we can develop probable cause.
Without getting into detail, how big was the flood of phone calls, of tips, of information that y'all have had to sift through? Because I know there were a lot of complaints very early on about they're not responding to us. Well, when you're loaded with calls, it gets weighty.
Well, yeah, Crime Stoppers, we received a lot of calls. Our specialized divisions have received information as well from, being out there proactively patrolling in those areas. So every lead that we get, every tip is followed upon. It's directed to the detectives to make sure that it's investigated. So we're going to continue working hard so that we can help get the family some type of closure. Such a horrific event, such a beautiful soul. Very sad.
Absolutely, it is. And the seeming randomness of it is probably what garners the most emotion about it. Because, and I'm not transitioning away from this issue because I got one more question about Allie Rice's murder. But there has been a lot of targeted killings in Baton Rouge. When you have one that seems more random, or it just that level of, that's where the fear factor comes in. That's where the whole "do you feel safe" comes into question. Is, if drug deals happen and they go awry, that's one thing. Domestic violence is within a home, that's one thing. But stopping for a train, that's where the whole, it could be you, it could be anybody. That's where that level of doubt enters our minds.
Absolutely. That's the fear. And that's why it's so important that we, find those responsible and to reassure the community that we are out there working hard. And it's going to be the community who's going to give us that information that's going to help us put the persons and person and or persons responsible for this.
If there's nothing we can confirm about the investigation, is there anything we can rule out? Some of the rumors that were spreading at the very beginning?
Well, I'm not familiar with all the rumors. What I can tell you is that our detectives are exhausting all investigative leads, are investigating every tip that comes in, and are working as I speak right now.
You addressed it in the press conference. I'll just ask it for a second time. Gang initiation was one of the rumors that was going around.
There's no evidence, and I think it was stated in the conference by our commander of our violent crime unit, and I stand by his statement.
Yesterday in The Advocate, an article came out. The headline reads, Baton Rouge police crack down on looming gang violence, leaving some relieved and others worried. It was a couple weeks ago, it was right after Allie Rice's shooting, that you held a press conference. The mayor was at the press conference talking about the gang activity we have in Baton Rouge. I think that was very eye-opening to see just how much there is. How much gang violence is there in Baton Rouge right now?
Well, we know there was a couple of incidents, and I think it was a homicide that happened outside the city. I believe the sheriff's office worked, and there was an article that talked about that targeted incident where we saw an increase Obviously, a lot of intelligence information out there. That intelligence comes from working with the community. It's individuals in the community who help us with getting credible intelligence information as it relates to the gang violence that you're speaking of. So there was credible information. We saw this tick increase. We directed patrols in target areas. Got into a few chases, unfortunately. Made some key arrests involving some of those individuals. And we're continuing to do that, with us through our partnership with Truce and the Sheriff's Office and our federal partners. A lot of resources are going into those areas and identifying, trying to disrupt these organizations.
Now, the term micro-targeting comes up. And so as I read this article, I was like, wow, from the time you started talking about the Real-Time Crime Center, like this is that, people in places, right?
Yeah, we know when you look at an example, I think I talked about it in a press conference, we had officers at a specific area based on those micro areas of concern that we've identified through the data. We ended up getting involved in a chase. The individual who was arrested had recently been arrested for violent crime. There were guns in the car. Based on some of the intelligence we received, we believe we stopped a shooting incident from occurring that day. Look, just this weekend, we had a shooting right there on Charles Street, 3800 block of Charles Street. We had a targeted areas, increased patrols. So you had motivated officers, and through technology, ShotSpotter, they were able to respond quickly, get information, set up perimeters, identify 3 subjects who were involved in a shooting incident, and seize 4 weapons. So we know that this targeted approach does have advantages. We were able to respond quickly to an incident using technology, coordination between the detectives and our uniform patrol. So a lot of proactive things that are going on to get criminals off the streets.
The increased presence, the article says it leaves others worried. I don't know who would be worried about this, but are there those in the community that don't want an increased amount of patrols in their neighborhood?
Well, I'll tell you what we hear. We were just in the avenues this week. Just yesterday, I was out in the Howell Park area with Louisiana State Police doing walks in the community. And what we're hearing from those in the community is that they want more police presence. They welcome us being there. They like the presence there. And look, when you have very directed areas in our community with shots fired incidents, and we increase police presence, it is welcomed by those in the community who are out there because they want that to stop, and they have to live it every day. So we're going to continue with our presence in those areas. I think our police officers are doing a pretty good job in trying to address these issues, and the community wants us there. So I'm sure there's some who have concern, but I can tell you when we're on these community walks, they love to see us, they want us there, and they want more police.
Yeah.
And that's why we are pushing forward with a very aggressive recruiting campaign.
It's been very evident that there are just more units on the road. There are more of your folks out there right now, which it's visible.
More felony arrests. We've already arrested more than 3,300 felons this year. I want you to think about that. So, we're not being soft. We are arresting criminals at a rate higher than before. In fact, if you look at our felony arrests, they're up 30%. If you look at our firearm seize, it's 20%. We just created a crime trend analysis dashboard that we're going to make available to the public.
Yeah.
So they can see real data in real time and trends that are happening in our city.
The Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul is our guest. Chuck, I'm telling you right now, we're missing your money now. We're going long here. Some stuff going on internally. There was an officer-involved shooting over the weekend. We've got some guys that are on leave right now. I know, again, open investigation, can't talk about the investigation, but can you walk me through the process when an officer is placed on leave as to, like, what goes down and what kind of time?
I don't think we have any officers on leave right
You don't?
I'm not sure which one you're speaking of.
I got to look it back up again. I was doing that one off memory. Well, then while I'm looking that one up, let's move over to an article from last week in The Advocate where the headline reads, Leaked Informants Tipping Off Suspect, Inside Allegations Against Arrested Baton Rouge Cop. This is spillover from Richmond Barrow, I believe.
Okay, that investigation you're speaking of?
Yeah.
He's no longer an employee here.
Okay. the Richmond Barrow there's definitely a black eye put on the department because of him. How do you put forth the message that he doesn't stand for y'all?
Easy. He doesn't. It was a complaint that was presented to us by Baton Rouge police officers. It was investigated by Baton Rouge police officers, and he was arrested by Baton Rouge police officers. We do not tolerate that type of behavior here. It doesn't. It's not in alignment with our values. And I support the men and women in the police department who know that anybody who does not deserve to wear that badge, they're going to do everything in their power and in my power to make sure they don't wear the badge again. And he does not represent the good men and women who come to work every day and do the right thing and wear that uniform.
All right, we're going to talk about those good men and women in just a minute. It was the shooting that was at the Hub Apartments over the weekend. That was the one I was asking about.
Is that the office-involved shooting?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, that's standard policy. Our officers were involved in an office-involved shooting this weekend. That's standard policy. Anytime an officer is involved in an office-involved shooting. But I can tell you, I spoke with one of those officers last night. The other officer I missed, I tried to reach out to him. I'm going to reach out to him today to let them know that they're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am very familiar with the details involved in this case. There's a process, but this is going to be a justifiable shooting.
We have Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul with us for a couple more minutes. Chief, recruitment has been, it always will be a challenge, but you've got some news, I understand, that could help in that regard.
Yeah, well, one of the challenges, we have around 105 vacancies right now. We average about 50 vacancies a year for the past decade. We've always had that. But recruiting is a challenge when you look at the whole area and nationally. So we got to do things different. So one of the things that we presented is to hire a hiring incentive. So if you know someone who wants to serve and be part of the Baton Rouge Police Department, go to GEAUXBRPD.com. That's GEAUXBRPD.com. And we talked about doing some things different this year. If you are eligible for the next training academy, which happens in the beginning of next year, you'll get a $10,000 signing bonus, $10,000 incentive. If you're a police officer from another agency and you want to come aboard, $15,000.
Okay.
Signing bonus for becoming a Baton Rouge police officer. So that's $10,000 and $15,000.
We were talking during the break before we came on about this, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, but is there something that's about more than just the money, the intent behind it, the sentiment behind it, that has to play into it as well?
Well, it's to get our officers help. We need the help. We see what's going on. All of these strategies that we have in place, we need boots on the ground. We need police officers in uniform on the ground to make that work. And this is an opportunity for us to get our police officers the help that they need. Imagine being the highest paid. You're a young officer first year with this bonus, $61,000 your first year. You're a police officer from another agency. You want to come on board your first year. That is at least, $66,000. If you already have experience, you're talking about up to $75,000 a year, depending on how many years you have. So that is something that my team put together. I challenge them to do something different and be creative in how we can fill those vacancies. So if you know someone who wants to serve, please apply today. We anticipate that those applications are going to be coming in, and let's make this next academy in January one of our best.
I know you like to use some of this airtime every time you're on to give a shout out or two. We got just a little bit of time left. Who are we throwing some love at today?
Oh, those officers I just talked about. Look, the men and women of this police department. There's so many stories every day where we're so proud of them, and I can tell you, I do know that sometimes we hear all of the negative things when it comes to that, but. Look, our community services division out there every day getting information, not just about crime, but quality of life issues in their community, bringing information back to our detectives to help solve crime. And I am really proud of the men and women of the police department to work in these trying times. And I'm asking the community, look, I have seen an uptick and violence directed towards law enforcement officers. We've had 2 law enforcement involved shootings within the past couple of weeks. So continue to lift our police officers up in prayer. Just this weekend, we were at churches throughout the city with our Faith in Blue initiative this weekend. A lot of prayers going up for our first responders and our police officers. So please keep lifting them up in prayer, and keep lifting that the 19 that's in academy are going to finish. We have a graduation in November, so that's going to be more boots on the ground to help with our patrol efforts.
He is Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul. We always appreciate the time and the information, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
We are way long. Quick break. Coming back with the Outside In. Nah. Yeah.
All of this is being real time. This bottom other stats, that's going to be updated every Monday.
Okay.
So you'll see where we're at in homicide. Obviously, this doesn't reflect the 2 that just the 3 that happened. So that's going to change next Monday.
Okay.
We're still going to probably be around about 14%.
Okay.
Homicide, felony arrest. So look, if you go here, actual homicides this month. That's
Oh, wow.
Then you want to year to date, that's how many we had.
Yep.
Last year, that's how many we had. And that lets you know when it was last updated, October 6th. Negligent homicide, same.
What's the launch date on this?
Probably going to be this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of
felony arrest, 30% up.
Felony arrests up 30%.
103. Year to date, 3,400. See, it went up.
Any number on how many of them are home before dinner? I'm just kidding. I'm not getting you in trouble. I'm not getting you in trouble.
Firearm seized this month, 37. Year to date, 1,300. Last year, year to date, 1,000.
Wow. Okay.
So here's our average on 28 days. You can see violent crime down a little bit.
Okay.
Property crime up a little bit. Difference of 30 incidents. That's 28 days. Now, how are we at 7 days? Yep, almost 5%. Violent crime, we are down 13% in a rolling day 7 period. Alarms are down, overdoses down, robberies are up 11%. Assaults, batteries down, burglaries up 8-9. These things concern us. The burglary going into the holidays, we see that with vehicle thefts, disturbances. Mental health, we think we're going to see a rise in that as we go.
I got a big vehicle theft story looming. My spot was a complete collision center. Somebody broke in and stole 2 vehicles, got into a hit-and-run accident. One of them's all shot up now. Yeah, but he did all the work, and then how do you he's out money for the parts and everything, and the insurance company's not paying. The insurance company's screwing everybody here.
You made arrested that?
I don't know.
Are you familiar with that? Where is it? What's the name of it?
Complete Collision Center.
Where's it at?
It's just off of Blue Bonnet and Perkins. I don't know the name. There's a little side street that goes behind that Shell station. Yeah. I think they drove off and ended up on Burbank. So yeah, where the crime happened versus where they ended up were different.
Covert things going on.
Okay. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. I'm not even hopping on YouTube right now. I'll read comments at the top of the hour. My appreciation to the Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul for stopping on board to talk a little bit about what's going on as much as he can. That's always the hard part, right? When it's an ongoing investigation, they're not allowed to talk about an ongoing investigation. And quite honestly, why the hell would he? In the off chance that somebody hears something. Do you want a suspect knowing how close they are to catching him? No. But that's the hard part on our end, is just sitting back. Anyway, we got to step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. It's time for the Outside In.
It's time to step outside of East Baton Rouge and get inside our surrounding parishes.
Time for me to be hitting the dusty trail.
The Outside In, presented by BRPT Lake. With 6 locations and extended hours to fit your needs, BRPT Lake has got you covered. Schedule online now at brptlake.com. The Outside In is coming your way now.
We're starting off in Ascension Parish. One person was shot and killed while entering a home near the corner of Opelousas and Lessard Streets Monday night. According to the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office, the shooting happened around 9:30 p.m. Deputies said one victim was dead at the scene. The shooter has been taken into custody. No further information about this yet. Next stop's Tangipahoa Parish. 4 teenagers are facing murder charges after a teen was killed in a shootout just outside a high school house party in Tangipahoa Parish over the weekend. Monday, the sheriff's office said they had arrested 7 people for their involvement in a shooting that had happened during the party late Friday night in the St. Paul Loop neighborhood. Along with the 4 teens arrested for murder, a 64-year-old woman and 2 other teens were arrested on various other charges. Another 16-year-old is being sought in this case. Heading down to Plaquemines Parish, a Baton Rouge man was killed Saturday night after a boat smashed into a formation of rocks along the Louisiana coast. Department of Wildlife and Fisheries agents, they said agents were called to the crash around 8:45 p.m. near Empire. That's just near Plaquemines Parish. The department said the boat crashed into a rock jetty, launching 3 boaters onto the rocks within an hour. Agents recovered the body of 49-year-old Jose Granados of Baton Rouge. The other 2 boaters were airlifted to a hospital in New Orleans with serious injuries. An investigation into the crash is ongoing. Bringing it back up to Ascension Parish, people living in parts of the parish are still having issues with red dust that blows around and covers neighborhoods. A parish councilman is now stepping in. Councilman Joel Robert proposed a resolution to find out what can be done about the dust problem. The resolution was approved and now will go to the Ascension Parish Council. Department of Environmental Quality says that's been informed that sprinklers are on the way. Obviously, you install the sprinklers to knock down the dust. Sprinklers should be here by the end of the month, another 2 weeks to install them. This plan will be discussed at the Parish Council meeting on October 20th. Closing out in Lafayette, as the race for Louisiana's 3rd Congressional District heats up, former Louisiana Congressman Charles Bustani and Chris John, along with former Senator John Breaux, have endorsed Republican Holden Hoggett against incumbent Clay Higgins. We talked about that earlier in the show. Breaux said Southwest Louisiana needs someone who will work across party lines and put the district first. He believes Hoggett is the best candidate. That's the Outside In. Let's get you to CBS News. How bad are they ripping on the chief on YouTube? Yeah? Really?
Yeah. Because I kept looking. I'm like, all right, nobody's saying anything. The phone rang a couple times, but obviously I wasn't going to answer that.
Did Chief Paul talk about Allie Rice? I missed the beginning of the interview. Yes, he did talk about Allie Rice. No, he cannot comment on an ongoing investigation except to say that he's confident that they're going to catch the people. They're still combing through all the follow-ups, all the leads and whatnot. They have more than they're saying. They're
probably
no,
but again, they
do.
can't say.
I know.
That's the thing.
Hey, Chuck, if you heard on a news report that BRPD was looking for you, wouldn't you get the F out of town?
Yes.
Now,
absolutely.
if you don't hear on a news report anything about it, don't you have a false sense of security?
Right.
Okay,
exactly.
so why would law enforcement ever say anything about that?
Yeah. And people get upset about this.
Because we're sitting here in the dark.
Right.
It's a catch-22.
Yeah.
They've got to push a bad situation for them.
Because it's the same thing. It's like, hey, we want you to tell us what's going on with this case, and then they reveal too much, and somebody slips through their fingers. Like, well, you told everybody what you were doing, but you asked for us to tell you what we were doing.
Right.
So it's like,
right. You got to stand there and say, we can't talk about it.
Right.
You can't not even just say, we have good leads and we're going to be knocking on doors real soon. Not even that.
No.
Nothing.
The proper statement is this investigation is ongoing. We can't discuss anything about it. That's, as much as people hate it, that's the statement you have to give.
Yeah. I get the sentiment though.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But I mean, what are you gonna do?
I mean, it's been more than 2 weeks now. By the way, somebody vandalized the memorial again.
Saw that.
Posted that up on Facebook yesterday. Who does that? Oh, did you snag some pics of the chief while he was in?
Oh, damn it, no, I didn't. I'm sorry. I completely forgot.
Okay.
I can
go grab. I can get screen grab. I just wanted them squared so I can screen grab and then crop. Hopefully.
That's my bad. I remember doing that. I had to I didn't finish my LRNs for today. I'm like, I need to get my LRNs in.
All right, I'm gonna be back in 2 seconds. I gotta sharpen my pencil.
Said no one in the year 2022 except Brian. I have to sharpen my pen. And the fact that we have somewhere you can sharpen a pencil. I was hoping it would be like like the old school.
Like screwed into the wall.
Yeah. That's how we used to pass notes at school. Just like walk by somebody's, I got to sharpen my pencil. Walk by somebody's desk, drop a note, sharpen a pencil.
That's how we roll. So yeah, I was expecting a lot more. So every time I don't actively piss on the Chief, people hate on me for it. And I don't know who was calling during the segment. That's.
I just knew whoever it was somebody that's, well, I have a question for the Chief, and just was going to start going off. It's like,
yeah,
I'd rather not hang up on that person. Just be like, I'm just going to ignore you.
Use a pocket knife to sharpen the pencil. That's what I'm talking about. That's
There
grizzled.
you go.
That's grizzled right there. That's not called sharpening at that point. It's called whittling.
I was whittling.
I was whittling my pencil.
Say whistle.
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 Whistle. What? Why? Oh, it's going to stir up bad emotions for me. But when Cade comes in, the bumper should be Narcos by Timmy Trumpet because he's coming in as the closer. Edwin Diaz's walk-up music for the Mets. But it hurts. It still hurts. It still hurts too much.
Still sensitive.
Ah!
You throw into the weather again?
Yeah. Oh, is there? I didn't get my daily email from the stupid sports. Oh, there it is. God, he was late today. Time to get a look at your forecast. Here is WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo. I have a theory that Cardi B's not a real person.
She's make believe.
Yeah.
Paid.
This thing is a lifesaver.
What is it?
And it's travel size.
It's not your life you're saving, kid.
Yeah, it's the life
you're doing the Lord's work.
That's so good.
Thank you.
Potato stick. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Chuck P on the other side of where there used to be glass for one more segment.
You came in saying that like Philip Seymour Hoffman in Mission Impossible 3.
Did I?
You got a wife. I'm gonna hurt her. I'm gonna hurt her bad.
I don't know that I've seen that movie.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm a big Philip Seymour Hoffman guy.
Yeah, he's the villain in Mission Impossible 3.
Okay.
One of the
very versatile actor.
Yeah, one of the few franchises with Tom Cruise I actually enjoy those movies. I like the Mission Impossible films.
All right, so I saw the first one.
First one's great. Second one's kind of eh.
Why after the first one you kind of know that they're not impossible?
Some are. Some aren't. Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. Did they have anywhere they failed? If they make it to a third one, the first two were clearly possible.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's like what was that movie, Final Destination?
Yeah,
where they had 6 of them.
Yeah,
thereby making the first 5 not that final.
Well, it's the Final Destination for that group of people.
Oh, okay. I never watched any of them.
They're not bad.
All right. We got a lot of ground to cover in this hour as well. State Treasurer John Schroeder going to join us in our next segment. Let's talk about ESGs. Environmental social governance. Sorry, had to exhale before even saying it. Environmental social governance. Basically, this is companies in other places telling us what's what about our own backyard, telling us what we can and cannot do with our money, our policies, and whether or not they're going to shut us down. Well, hey, John Schroeder says, nah, we're done here. If you've got environmental social governance as your main agenda, we're just going to shut this down and say, no, you can't do business with us. We'll talk with him about that in our next segment. Also, we're going to talk with Congressman Troy Carter before the show is over with. DC Current, we try to do this twice a week, every week, once with Congressman Carter, once with Congressman Graves. Congressman Carter's had to hang back for a couple of weeks because he's had, the business of our nation to tend to. It's a little more important than swinging by here every week. But we got a number of topics to talk about with the congressman this week, not the least of which I got to ask him about the presidential pardons for federal convictions of simple possession. That and a whole lot more coming your way as the show wears on. Before we get you to this day in history, I want to remind you about the folks over at Complete Collision Center. 2 locations, one up on Plank Road in Zachary, one off of Bluebonnet and Perkins in Baton Rouge. Talk about the know-how to know what you're doing. More than a dozen major car manufacturers have certified Complete Collision Center. Talking about how getting you back on the road safely. They know what they're doing when it comes to repairing all the safety redundancies that are in your vehicle. When that car comes off the assembly line, it's got things built into it to make sure that if you are in an accident, you are a lot less at risk of injury. Well, if you get into an accident and then it's just patched up and you're sent back out there, you are at a greater risk of injury unless all the crumple zones, all the safety redundancies, everything that's built into your vehicle from the start is repaired to the way that it was. And that's what they do at Complete Collision Center. 768-9898 is the phone number, 768-9898, or check them out online at CompleteCollision.com. Don't let who you choose to repair your vehicle be your second accident. Check out CompleteCollision.com. All right, time to roll back the clock. Time for this day in history.
Marty, you've got to come back with me. Where? A long, long time ago. Who's coming with me? We have to go back, Kate. We have to go back.
Say, kids, what time is it?
Stay in history.
B, there's some sports related this day in history news.
Did it happen in 1997?
Well, maybe. One of these, to kick things off, happened in 1911.
1911?
The first MLB MVPs were handed out in
Ty Cobb?
Ty Cobb and Frank Shelty.
Yeah.
You know what the prize was?
The prize for the first... No, I don't.
It was a brand new car.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Brand new car.
All right.
This day in history, 1939, Albert Einstein informs FDR of the possibilities of an atomic bomb.
No.
A decision he regretted.
He regretted telling him about the possibilities?
Well, because of what, the bomb happened. They built the bomb. They dropped it. War ended. But still, he felt bad for,
Okay, but, he didn't build the bomb.
No, but he's like, hey, we can build a bomb.
Okay.
So I guess he took some responsibility.
My dad used to complain that he didn't have a portable writing surface. He doesn't claim inventing the clipboard.
Fair enough.
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer's
That's your guy you point the finger at.
That is the guy you point the finger at.
Ease the ego there, Albert.
Yeah, Oppenheimer coming in theaters next summer from Christopher Nolan.
Seriously?
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a movie that's coming. Yeah.
Okay.
This day in history, 1968, Apollo 7, the first manned Apollo mission, is launched into orbit. 11-day Earth orbit they did with the crew transmitting the first live television broadcast from space.
Cool.
October 11th, 1971, this day in history, John Lennon releases Imagine, one of the most influential songs of the 20th century.
Yeah.
1972, this day in history, this is fitting news since today is the opening day of NHL. World Hockey Association officially debuts as the Alberta Oilers defeat the Ottawa Nationals 7-4.
Okay.
I know, we're a big hockey town.
Yeah.
This day in history, 1975.
There it is.
Saturday Night Live makes its premiere on NBC with George Carlin as the host.
Yep.
1983, this day in history. This is an amazing fact right here. The last hand-cranked telephones in the U.S. went out of service as 440 telephone customers in Bryant Pond, Maine were switched over to direct dial. 1983, they still had hand-cranked telephones.
Yeah?
That is
I
nuts.
totally believe that.
That's insane.
Okay. That's, yeah.
I mean, I had Andy Griffith Show flashbacks, right? Insane. All right. Did I miss anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, this day in 1992, not yet called Coach Prime, Deion Sanders played for both the Falcons and the Braves on the same day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This day in 1997, Tiger fans should know this inside. Now, first time ever the LSU Tigers beat a number one in Tiger Stadium. 28-21, LSU tops Florida in what was it was such a monumental game. It was such a wonderful day and a wonderful night. I was a student. I was one of the ones on the field after the game. That was an amazing experience from start to finish. And everybody has a story about that game. So share your story on our YouTube stream, Mornings with Brian Haldane on YouTube. Tell me about your LSU versus Florida experience from 1997.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, that doesn't show up on, history.com's This Day in History.
It's not going to. That's why we have Condon. Condon comes down the hall with those every so often. Yeah, I mean,
That's a big thing. Here locally, I mean, that's a huge thing.
I think so.
Moving on to birthdays today. Eleanor Roosevelt, born this day in 1884.
Okay.
That's a long time ago. Elmore Leonard, writer Elmore Leonard, who gave us Raylan Givens. If you've watched Justified on FX.
I have not.
Based on the book Fire in the Hole. Born in New Orleans on this day, 1925. How about that? I didn't know he was born in New Orleans. Daryl Hall, he of Hall and Oates, born on this day, 1946.
We did the Call and Oates bit last week. Done that one with you?
Yeah. This day in history, 1961, former San Francisco 49ers quarterback Steve Young.
Yep.
Born on this day.
Right.
1962, John Cusack's sister, Joan Cusack. Born on this day.
I mean, she's an actress in her own right.
She is, but I mean, without John, there would be no John, I think.
Would there?
Man.
Did she not land the part in 16 Candles without her brother?
But he's in that movie as well.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he is. One of the nerds.
Yes, he's one of the nerds.
Yeah.
This day in history, 1965, Sean Patrick Flannery. If you remember the movie Powder.
Yeah.
He was Powder. He was also in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. It was a show for a bit. Born in Lake Charles, Louisiana on this day in 1965.
Cool.
Actor Luke Perry from Beverly Hills 90210, born this day 1966. Golfer Michelle Wie, born this day 1989.
Yep.
And Cardi B, who you believe does not really exist.
Cardi B is not a person. Cardi B is a bot. Cardi B was put together in a laboratory.
Yeah, I believe that. I 100% believe that. Born this day 1992. International holiday. Oh, you got one?
1960. John Forcade. Former New Orleans Saints quarterback John Forcade, born on this day in 1960.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. How about that?
Good call. National holidays or national days or whatever you want to call them today. It's International Day of the Girl Child Day.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's also National Coming Out Day. National Southern Food Heritage Day.
Yeah.
I know you had a joke there. I saw it. I saw you once.
It's also National Sausage Pizza Day.
That was my next one.
So it's all about.
I should have put those back to back.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was trying not to be that person. It's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Again.
Let's get out of here.
Anyway, I'm out. I'm gone.
Yeah. All right. Quick break. Come back. We will reel things in. We're talking ESGs with the state treasurer next.
I went out on top.
Yeah, until we get complaints about coming out day and saying fruit. I was actually commenting on the low hanging.
No, I'm good. Thank you. I took care of that in the fourth floor bathroom this morning when I got it.
What do I need to pull as far as audio?
I pulled
Nothing. I've got back-to-back interviews.
Okay.
I got everything except the last segment of hour 2, and I'll get that when I get back. If you can just pull hour 3 for me.
Okay.
I'll put that all together when I get back.
He's on hold right now?
Yeah.
Can you make sure that's him, please? Just let him know it's going to be 1 minute.
I'll be back.
Oh, cool.
Talk 107.3. Is this Mr. Schroeder? All right. We're going to be back here in about 90 seconds. Just wanted to let you know.
Ray. No, why? What's the line? No flag. Huh? Yeah. What? The biggest game in Knoxville in this millennium. Ran real long in that opening segment. My apologies. Moving right along, we've got State Treasurer John Schroeder joining us now. Treasurer Schroeder, good morning. How are you, sir?
Hey, y'all sound like y'all are some fired up this morning.
I appreciate you putting up with that nonsense. We're 2/3 of the way through the show. It's kind of a reset button before our blood pressure goes through the roof. So thank you for holding tight through it. Speaking of blood pressure going through the roof, ESGs, that's going to be the buzzword or buzz acronym for 2023 if it isn't already. And you're taking action. The headline from the press release reads, Schroeder protects Treasury funds from ESG by divesting $794 million from BlackRock. Before we get into how this transpired, I've got to ask, who is BlackRock? What do they do? And how does their business affect Louisiana?
BlackRock is the largest investment firm in the world. They basically take the money that people like the Department of Treasury, not say people, companies or entities, public entities like Treasury, and they invest it. And we look to get a certain return so that we can use those returns to either run government, or whatever. In that case, we are investing trust fund dollars. I manage about $16 billion in trust fund money. But the big nut that they have is pension money. In Louisiana, pensions dollars are north of $70 billion. I don't know exactly how much is with BlackRock because I don't manage that money. But that is really where the target is. The pension money in the United States is into the trillions. And so that's what BlackRock does. The anxiety that they're causing those, they use your money to invest in what they believe is the best investment. And right now, they're really pushing a very liberal investment into, what we call green type investments, which I'm not totally opposed to it, but in often cases it's more expensive and the returns are less.
Okay, so yes, environmental social governance is where we're headed here, and that could cover a lot of ground. Do we know what specifically BlackRock was trying to do when it comes towards green investments and how it was going to hurt Louisiana's oil and gas industry?
Look, issue for me. There's a lot of different things. When you talk about environmental, social, and governance policies, I mean, we could talk for months. But let's be specific about what's caused me to do what I've done.
Yeah.
It's specifically a bullseye on the oil and gas industry, or what we say nationally is the fossil fuel industry. I said this a minute ago. They're using our money to invest in entities that are contrary to oil and gas. Well, why would I do that? I mean, that's silly. It'd be like, I don't even have a bad example for you. I'm not going to invest Louisiana Treasury taxpayers' dollars with a company that wants to see the fossil fuel industry end.
Well,
I mean, that's just common sense.
No, it is, because these are taxpayer dollars we're talking about. In order to keep taxpayer dollars coming in, there have to be taxpayers. And these taxpayers are making their money to pay their taxes within this industry. So unless you want that to dry up, this feels like this, from BlackRock's perspective, and as big as they are, that we're a drop in the bucket. I get that. But this is, to a certain level, cutting off their nose to spite their face just for political points.
It's not just political points, though, and that's sort of what I've been telling people. I mean, these folks truly believe differently than what you and I believe when it comes to oil and gas. Mm-hmm. And they have a fundamental. They believe different, that this industry shouldn't exist. That we should all be driving electric cars and using electric stoves. But at the bottom line, for me, it threatens the state's interest. And this isn't, I've been already, people calling me different things, that I'm entering the culture wars and blah, blah, blah. This isn't about culture wars. This is about whether I believe we should invest dollars from the state of Louisiana with a company that wants to put the oil and gas industry out of business. That's just not even. And look, Ron, you need to know this too. This has been going on for a long time.
I'll take your next question. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't said it, and you just don't move $800 million overnight. I've actually been working and having conversations with national leaders since last year on this issue. It took a little while. It's helped move it with the market the way it is, mm-hmm. Because we've just moved it to other investments, and in some cases it was a benefit because we're making money.
Okay,
more money.
That's where we actually want to go next, because if you're divesting here, you have to be investing somewhere. Do we know where all the money has moved to?
It's just similar other investments, and the CDs and treasuries are now, as you see, interest rates are going up now. I mean, money market accounts are now up over 3%, which you couldn't get 0.002 just 6 months ago. So the timing's been good to us. That's allowed us to make this easier to do, and we'll continue to do it. I said this morning to somebody on a call, that my next bullseye is the pension monies, and start educating legislators and the boards, because in Louisiana we have 13 different boards, and I want to know how much of the money in these pension funds are invested in Louisiana, inside the United States, and we haven't even talked about yet how much of this money from BlackRock, who handles trillions of dollars, are invested outside the United States, and lion's share that is invested in China.
Which would be a whole other, that is a whole other conversation to have, to be sure. We're talking with State Treasurer John Schroeder about the divestment from BlackRock. Okay, so Treasurer Schroeder, what kind of, you said you got a lot of negative response about this. Has there been equal or any positive response as well?
It's been overwhelmingly positive.
Okay.
It sort of irks me, though, that people tell me I'm engaging in this, that, and the other. Look, I've been doing this for a year and haven't even told anybody. So I'm not trying to get some political play. The reason we released it last week is because two things happened. I had a meeting with BlackRock, in Philadelphia while I was at a Treasurers Conference, and we've had several public information requests where this information is going to get out one way or the other, Brian. So I wanted to control the narrative. I really wasn't going to say anything till next year until we finished investing all this money. So, I'll take it. My motivations are pure. My intentions are pure. This is my job. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I appreciate all the attention, but I'm just doing my job. But you always have naysayers.
Sure.
Tom Brady has a bunch of them right now. So I'm not Tom Brady, but I've done a good job as state treasurer. But this is something that was a no-brainer to me, and we'll continue to do things like this.
You talk about that Treasurers Convention and the Treasurers Conference. Is this something we're going to see from other states, or is it something we are seeing from other states? Because this feels like this would trigger a domino effect.
No, there's no question. And yes, the answer to your question is yes. I think we talked about this last month, that I was taking over as chairman of the it's called SFOF, State Financial Officers Foundation. I took over as chairman on October 1st. Each treasurer handles different things, Brian. Here in Louisiana, we probably are involved a little bit more in the day-to-day cash than most treasurers.
Mm-hmm.
But that probably, what Louisiana's done and what some other states have done is $1 billion so far. West Virginia, for one, has done some. Utah, I think Oklahoma. But there's more to come. There's definitely more to come. But you just don't flip a switch. We're a small state. Some states, theirs is, a couple $100 billion. So it's not going to happen overnight. But BlackRock clearly woke up last week with had to take notice of Louisiana.
What's the reaction been from BlackRock? I know you've been in communication with their CEO, Larry Fink. How have they responded?
I haven't talked to the CEO. I was asked for a meeting, which I happily gave, because look, I believe strongly in working to solve problems. As I tell my colleagues around the country, we have to take some action. You can't send letters. You can get on the TV and the radio and talk about things all you want. But at the end of the day, what affirmative action or step that are we going to take to send BlackRock a message? It just so happens that Louisiana took the biggest one. But when I met with them privately, they talked about what their intentions were and this, that, and the other. And I just told them, said, look, that's different than what your CEO is saying publicly. So until your CEO matches up with what you say to me privately, then we're not going to allow the monies to be invested by your company. I mean, look, this guy, this CEO, is more like almost like a communist dictator. He's not elected. He's going around the entire political process to push a political agenda. That sounds a little like communism, So everybody knows that all these green products come at a higher cost. He's forcing investments into those, and he has stated. I'm going to read a quote to you real quick.
Okay.
This is a quote from the CEO of BlackRock. They want to quote transformation of our entire economy by forcing behaviors. At BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors. I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, what is the democracy in that?
Yeah. It's strong arming. It's gangster tactic. It is. I appreciate, like, regardless of you could agree or disagree on the policy that they're pushing. It's the strong arming that makes the policy pushing moot, because it's not their business to tell us how to run our state. So that's what they're actually talking about. It could be the best thing for the world overall, but you don't get to have that kind of sway over what we do with our funds. In the meanwhile, we are straight up out of time. He is State Treasurer John Schroeder. I always appreciate the time and the information, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Enjoy it. All right, sir.
Always. we ran way long. That we blew right past CBS News. Not to worry. Here comes our own local news, traffic, and weather. We're coming back with Congressman Troy Carter next on Talk 107.3. So that's a bigger question, right? Like if BlackRock was saying we're only going to make investments that benefit oil and gas, and Louisiana, you better get in line. I wouldn't care about that end either. I would say, no. I don't care if you tell me to wash my hands after going to the bathroom. You don't tell me what to do. You take my money, you invest it where you need to invest it, but you don't dictate policy. They are investing in electric vehicles, but they're strong-arming to get more states to push towards that as well. That's the problem that I have. Like, they could buy stock in Tesla all day long. I don't give a shit. A lot of this is going in that direction anyway. What comedy show? Oh, yeah, how was he? I really wish I could have gone to see that. He went to Sherwood? It's probably 100% true. Yeah. Right. I do it.
All right, let's go ahead and give a look at that forecast real quick. It has been dry, super dry, unbelievably dry up until now. Will that continue? Well, so we're supposed to have a 40% chance of rain today, but I'm not showing where that's actually going to enter the equation until tomorrow. We do have a 70% chance of rain tomorrow. Today's high getting up to 86 tonight. It's low getting down to 67. Tomorrow's high just 85 with an overnight low of 69. Thursday will top out at 88. Now we scale back from a 70% chance of rain down to a 20% chance of rain on Thursday. So as far as drought conditions are concerned, this is just a literal and figurative blip on the radar. High of 88 on Thursday, 84 on Friday. In fact, your overnight low Friday into Saturday is going to be all the way down to 56. Right now, we're at 66 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. 838 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We catch up with Congressman Troy Carter as often as we can. We call it DC Current. He joins us now. Congressman Carter, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
I am doing very well. We've got a lot of ground to catch up on here. There's a lot going on. And I'm trying to figure out where to start. I've got to start with the president's announcement last week about pardoning anyone who has been convicted anyone in a federal prison who's been convicted of simple possession. Your immediate takeaway from that announcement was what?
That I think is a step in the right direction. We know that these misdemeanors or marijuana charges are plaguing many people with keeping these on their record and having people charged with something that is now in some 38 states legal in some shape, form, or fashion, whether it's medicinal or recreational. So, many people are saddled with a record for something that is not even illegal in most places. Yeah. So I think the president's made the right step. I think having a step in the direction to pardon them kind of fits perfectly with my marijuana expungement bill that we are working on, which is a bipartisan effort that will give us the opportunity to expunge those records now that they've been pardoned. Because many people, black, white, Republican, and Democrat, are saddled with this scar on their record, which disallows them from getting loans or getting into the school of their choice or housing of their choice or either educational programs and things that they may be interested in. While, again, I underscore the significance of the fact that some 38 states have it legal, from recreation to medicinal. In Louisiana, we have flower that's now legal. We have medicinal that's now legal. And I think there's a move afoot to even have recreational use legal. So I think the president made the right step.
So within that right step, there's going to be many smaller steps that are going to cause a lot of problems. But we're not fully a week removed from this. Do we know how many people this affects? How many people are in federal prison for simple possession?
I don't know that number. And I don't know that it's fewer that are actually. This is not people that are going to be released from prison. These are people that are already out. So there's not anybody that's sitting in jail, or there shouldn't be. There are very few, I would hope. This is more geared toward the person that had a charge of misdemeanor marijuana charge on the federal level, not necessarily those that are still serving time. Mm-hmm. So there's not going to be some mass exodus of federal prisoners. It's more geared toward those people who are now gone on with their productive lives, but they still have the scar of this misdemeanor on their record, which gives them a chance to have it pardoned. And so, you can have a pardon posthumously or not after the fact, I guess is a better way to look at that. But that's what we're looking at with the president's action.
Yeah, and to me, the first part, because this part was a three-part announcement. This was a three-part statement. The first part is the smallest part, because I don't even know that simple possession is a federal crime. But urging governors to follow his lead is a bigger part of this.
Because what you have is, here's the whole problem in the cannabis space. You have the inconsistency of federal law and local law, right, or state law. And that is the glitch that many legal cannabis operators, people who are legitimately awarded licenses to provide medical marijuana or recreational marijuana, but the banking industries don't allow them to have the relationship. So you've got people that have legitimate enterprises that's recognized by state government but not recognized by the federal government, which dovetails perfectly into my CLIMB Act, which is the cannabis lending opportunity, where we create an opportunity for people in the cannabis business to be able to utilize banking resources, SBA resources, financial resources that will close that gap. And there's other measures. There's safe banking that's going through. The Congress has passed the House 6 times with hope that we'll have some action in the Senate. Remember, these are legitimate businesses that are owned, I might add, by black, white, Republican, Democrat. Again, a bipartisan effort to recognize that if you're going to have a legitimate enterprise, then you have to have systems set up that they can be banked, that they can have resources to be successful, that they can access SBA and or other business resource operations. Here now, you've got that conflict between federal and state, and that's problematic.
Well, yeah, because it's not in the Constitution, therefore it belongs to the states, and here we are in this mix up. I guess I don't want to call it a full on mess, but definitely there's.
I think to call it a full on mess would be fair, because here's what's happening: you got legitimate business people who made significant investments in an enterprise that is deemed to be legal. Now, that's the smaller part about it. How about this? This is the novel part that people lose in the translation. What happens to the person out there who has glaucoma or has some other seizures or some other medical reasons that they desperately need to get to their medical marijuana, but because there is a challenge with these businesses being able to be banked or to have resources that stay open, we're threatening a resource that has been proven by many doctors and professionals to be very helpful to people that have either cancer or some other ailment that cannabis has proved to be a good resource for.
What does this mean moving forward, though? If we're going to pardon those, and your bill to expunge records and whatnot is great for those that have already happened to, but it doesn't do anything to lay the groundwork for the future, or does it? Did I miss a part?
No, I think what the second part, you mentioned there were multiple parts in the president's comment. So the second part of the president's comment, which was critically important, is to have the HHS to review the schedule of marijuana where it is. Right now it's scheduled as a Scheduled 1, in league with heroin, even higher scheduled than fentanyl, higher than. So fentanyl is Schedule 2, marijuana and heroin is in Schedule 1. So you've got to correct that age-old classification of heroin being equal to marijuana. We know that fentanyl, even a drop of it, can kill instantly. Fentanyl is one of the most dangerous drugs on the streets, yet it is Scheduled 2. So part of the next step is to reevaluate these drugs and determine the proper classification, or even maybe declassification of marijuana, given that, again, many states in our country have deemed them to no longer be illegal.
Yeah, from a medical or recreational standpoint, there's absolutely that. But we run the risk of entering this limbo where we bring up the word decriminalization, which I find dangerous, because if you're going to decriminalize, just go ahead and legalize. The last thing you want to do is tell somebody if it's decriminalized, it's still against the law, but you're not punishing people for breaking the law. So why not just skip ahead and legalize so you're not giving a mixed message?
I think you're absolutely right. I think the problem that you have is that goes back to the same, we'd be right back in the same boat as we are now, with the federal government being in conflict with states, which makes no sense. So you're sending mixed signals. You're not certain. You're making it legal on one hand, yet it's illegal on another. I mean, listen, we're America. We can get this straight. This is not rocket science. You can't, on one hand, say, states, you can go and legally sell marijuana, but we're not going to allow you to put it in our banking system. Or you can legally sell cannabis for medicinal purposes, but we're going to still, challenge people at traffic stops for it. New Orleans and many other cities are making it a non-arrest offense. Some have decriminalized and just said it's not going to be something that we're stopping somebody for in small amounts. So there needs to be some consistency across the board. Congress is certainly doing its part through the various measures that are working its way through the system. And I know that the states are as well. Local governments are weighing in. What we really need is a universal set of laws that make it very clear. If it has been deemed to be a legal enterprise, then it should be entitled to all of the same opportunities, banking, business resources, as any other legal enterprise. And so that, so goes the next few steps of how we get this. And again, I want to compliment the fact that this is one of those bipartisan measures. I'm proud that on both of my bills, I have co-sponsors who are, in fact, of the Republican Party, demonstrating our willingness and ability to work together.
One of which you actually found a Republican from Illinois. I mean, that's a unicorn in and of himself. I mean, he's
like that, man. That's called bringing people together, man.
No, this is one of those ones where it's open-ended. Like, I don't think we're as entrenched on this particular topic. We have room. There's room to collaborate and find the right answer on something like this. So I appreciate the discussion. We're just straight up out of time for the day. Congressman Troy Carter, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, good brother.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Well, hopefully next week. What are you doing for lunch today? Can I send you to Zeeland Street Market? I went by on Friday, had myself the pecan smoked brisket, little smothered okra, little mustard greens. Oh, I was good to go. I was just still enjoying the memory of the lunch from Friday. Get yourself fed today. Food is fuel. If you want to be powered for the rest of your day, you've got to be taking in the right things. Miss Stephanie does not believe in the canned vegetables, the processed food. She's been doing it right for more than 30 years. You know where to find her. On the Garden District side of the Perkins Road over, past corner of Perkins and Zeeland Street. It's a Zeeland Street Market. Swing by. Get yourself a little love for lunch today. Here's your money now. I am so cold. Bruce says, good call to blow by CBS News. You should do it more often. David says, I disagree with legalizing marijuana. It's dope no matter what they say. Please elaborate on that. Elaborate on that, because like marijuana, the attack campaign against marijuana is so entrenched that I don't know that we'll ever shake it. But most of the negative effects of marijuana stem from it being illegal. You know what stems. So I'm not a marijuana user by any stretch of the imagination. I would, but when you step away from the politics and dive into what its actual chemical effects are on the body, it's less harmful. It's less harmful than caffeine. But I am a big caffeine user. You know what? You want a good look at the backstory of marijuana? Let me tell you about my podcast, Cool Story Bro. Got an episode with John Davis from Good Day Farms. I think that's the name of the farm. Anyway, they're the ones tasked with growing the medicinal marijuana for Louisiana, where we're at right now. And he does a great job in that particular episode, that particular installment of Cool Story Bro, available at dropbiscuitstudios.com. He does a great job of taking a deep dive into the history, the smear campaigns, the negativity surrounding it. Go check that out. It's a great conversation. I forget which episode number it is. There's only 17 installments of Cool Story Bro right now, which means I need to get on it and get to more of them. Done with that. David says, I guess I'm old school. Yeah. No, it's so, and there's nothing wrong with that. But be open to the idea of like sifting through what's been sold to us, because I was totally in your camp not too long ago.
It's walking down the medicinal path opened me up to the recreational path, or the idea of again, I don't use marijuana, but learning more about the medicinal benefits opened me up to, well, why would we stop there? And more to the point, there's a libertarian bent in me that wants to tell the federal government and or local governments to get the bleep out of the way. Wow, markets go all to hell. Oh, man. Oh. I like a good mic drop. Always a good thing. All right, I guess my next text is to Jen Rocca. You have to agree with me on the on the libertarian end. I know it's but yeah, read up a little bit on it, and it you're going to find plenty out there that speaks from an emotional standpoint from the negativities. But like anybody that leads with marijuana ruined my kid's life, it involves prison time. Okay. I've never heard of Fonda Mouton Road. Where the hell is Fonda Mouton Road? I got nothing. I see where you're going. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. 856 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. One segment to go. Whew, I'm winded. That was a fun conversation, wasn't it? Thanks to Congressman Troy Carter for hopping on board. I love when we could do that. There are many, many different trickle-down issues from the president's talk or the president's announcement last week about him pardoning anybody in federal prison or anybody with it on their record who has been convicted of simple possession. And I don't want to get lost in the idea that simple possession is not or should not be a federal crime or should not be prosecuted as a federal crime, because it's the kick down. It's parts 2 and 3 of the statement. It is urging governors to do the same. That's where you're going to see more action kicked in. And then working to reclassify marijuana, which I think would be important because, and we need to look at reclassification of a number of different drugs. Oh, by the way, as we continue on in the opioid crisis, street fentanyl, and I say street fentanyl because you could be prescribed fentanyl in the hospital. I can tell you firsthand. My wife had fentanyl prescribed to her when, giving birth to our son. Probably our daughters as well, but I didn't recognize it on the little, because you sit right there as the husband, you sit right there and you get the monitor going, seeing what all the everything that's being pumped through your wife is as she's giving birth. But I recognized it on the screen when we were having James, and I'm like, whoa, fentanyl. And the doctor's like, yeah, not what you read about in the news. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. But so there's going to be a lot of work to be done in the very near future. And part of this would be reclassifying marijuana. That could be worthwhile. But I'm going to stand by. And if you missed the conversation earlier in the show, it was 6:30 this morning. I understand if you were not listening then. But if you missed the conversation earlier with Jeff Croure, that spot with decriminalization is a sticky one. It tells criminals, it tells people, you are committing a crime, and no, we're not going to do anything about it. And I'm a big believer in the broken windows theory, that when you're allowed to get away with smaller crimes, that leads to bigger crimes. It's borne out many, many times over. So if you're going to decriminalize, it means it remains against the law. You just are going to look the other way. To me, that's worse than just saying, okay, if we're not going to punish you for it, let's not make it illegal anymore at all. Let's remove the mixed messaging that tells people, hey, we're cool with you breaking the law. I mean, how many years did we buy into the narrative that it was a starter drug, a gateway drug? Well, how about a gateway into breaking more laws by saying we're not going to punish you for breaking the law? So legalize it. Boom. All right, so thanks to Congressman Carter, thanks to John Schroeder, thanks to Chief Murphy Paul, Andrew Fitzgerald, and Jeff Croure. Everything will be available on demand at talk1073.com after the show. We got a big slate lining up for you tomorrow. We'll have D.C. Current with Congressman Graves. We will have Attorney Franz Borghardt in the House. Got a couple of other things that we're lining up right now, so tune in from 6 till 9 tomorrow. Stick around now. Fox News Rundown's next. All right, did she answer me already? She did. Out of town at a conference. No worries. Do I dare? Do I dare hit up Dwight Hudson about this one? Dwight or Lori Adams? Who's next? Because who have I not talked to lately? I think I'm going to go Aaron Moak. I haven't talked to Aaron in a good minute. Let's hit up Aaron Moak next. All right, hey, YouTube, we are going to move to Facebook hopefully tomorrow. So the YouTube channel is going to be for like segments beyond now. But the full show, we're going to be moving back to Facebook hopefully tomorrow. So please move over there. We will see you then. Thanks again. Have a great day.